Win. Glory be to the Almighty God. Can I have your attention, please? Thank you so much. It's great to see all of you once more for day 2 of Development Summit 2024. It was such an awesome moment yesterday, wasn't it? Oh, wasn't it? Insightful. So much to take away. Jaw-dropping discussions we had yesterday. And today we are here to continue. And I must admit, we are all looking good this morning. Thank you so much for making time to join us for day 2 of Development Summit. You may be aware, but for the benefit of those who might never know, this is the second edition that is happening. And it is a collaborative effort between the CD Ghana, Lidogo Incorporated, Queen's University, all the way from Canada, the government of Ghana through the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program under the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, and proudly supported by PricewaterhouseCoopers. These are esteemed partners whom we are so much grateful for ensuring that we are all gathered here for this 3-day summit to take away something great that would enhance our livelihoods. Yesterday, the foundation was laid for our discussion on entrepreneurship and its essential role in driving economic growth. Today, we will delve deeper into essential trainings and capacity building in equipping entrepreneurs and also innovators. We need these trainings and capacity building because we recognize the numerous challenges you face as entrepreneurs, ranging from assessing finance, navigating through complex environments, among others. And so today's gathering is extremely essential for you entrepreneurs to participate fully and get yourselves equipped with what you need to know. So I will take you through what is expected to be done today. Our aim will share insights on best practices in entrepreneurial training, innovative approach to capacity building, and strategies for overcoming common obstacles we usually face. So we will need your full participation to ensure this becomes a success today for day 2. Any volunteer to pray for us as we zoom straight into action? Are there no Christians here? All right. Thank you. Come do that for us. Let's put our hands together for him as he comes.
Shall we humbly close our eyes? We pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Eternal God, we thank you for the opportunity. We thank you for the breath of life. Your word tells us that by strength shall no man prevail. We have gathered in your name and in your presence. We pray for the success of this day, that every deliberation, every training we will go through today, let us receive it and practice it, so that at the end of the day, there will be evidence of results, crowning every effort with great success. We thank you, we bless you, in Jesus' precious mighty name. Amen.
Thank you so much, Mr. Volunteer. We are grateful. And so the first session will be the entrepreneurship training, after which we would have the training of trainers. Then in the afternoon, there will be a panel discussion, which I will share details of that shortly with you. But in the meantime, we would want to, delve deeper into our purpose for today. Nothing could be reassuring and heartwarming than affectionate words of welcome. And so although we know we belong to this auditorium, officially we are to be welcomed here. And so to do us the honors, it is my pleasure to welcome our host, Mr. Kingsley. Penkra to do that for us. Let's put our hands together for him.
Thank you very much, my brother Isaac. So this is the commencement address as we begin this morning's training. Good morning, everyone. So it is a great pleasure to welcome you all to this unique training session this very morning. Today's marked the beginning of a journey that holds immense potential to transform your entrepreneurial aspirations into a tangible successes. As you all know, we began the program as a virtual program, and we made it known to you that basically what we are providing you is a hybrid opportunity from the mentoring side to that of the training. So what we are going to witness today is an in-person training which we should be giving to you, and we expect all of you to be with us. Feel free, ask your questions, because there are a lot of topics. All these topics has already been treated with you through the online training platform which we gave you the opportunity for. This approach we are using is to allow us to reach you as an aspiring entrepreneur far and wide, providing the flexibility to learn and grow regardless of your location. So it was necessary for us to begin online, and we end up as an in-person. And one critical thing which has to do with we making it virtual has to do with the fact that our training provider is not in Ghana here. And I keep saying we boast of them being the best ever. From my experiences with the various universities I've worked with. So through our training and mentorship sessions, we are committed to helping you navigate these challenges of building and scaling up your business. So this is how the flow is going to be. Today's morning session is designed to equip you with a solid understanding of the core concepts that will guide your entrepreneurial journey. As I did emphasize earlier, we started the training focusing on the foundation, which is the explore entrepreneurship, moving on to the ignite and the launch stage. So with that, there are some key areas which we'll be focusing, which is the introduction to design thinking, customer discovery, and also helping you also move your venture forward. So as we have already dealt with this, today is going to be an opportunity to go deeper into what you were already taught. I would like to make a reference to, I think during when we were having the illegal mining discussion, if you heard Michael, he made a reference to we using design thinking to address the Galamsey issue which we are facing in Ghana. And all this is a testament to how far I know you students took the training program very serious. Identifying the problem of using the Galamsey, we are empathizing into it, and as well coming out with the very solution which we deserve. And it is itself is a testament to me, is a testament to how you took the course. It is a very powerful method that will help us approach problems creatively and also to empathize with it. By focusing on the needs of the people we serve, design thinking allows us to develop innovative solutions that resonate with customers and add value to their lives. So as we explore this topic today, I encourage you all to think about how this approach can be applied to the challenges which we face in our own ventures. Remember, this is your space to learn, grow, and share ideas. Feel at home and don't hesitate to ask questions. This is an opportunity for you to understand better. So ask questions and take note of whatever you have been taught today. I know you came with your notepads, your laptops, and what have you. Be taking notes and make your questions ready. We have great experts here who will be delving into that for us to understand the nitty-gritties of these very topics and for you to appreciate better. So, as I did mention, it has always been a hybrid opportunity, mentoring hybrid So for mentorship side, you'll be seeing those who are helping us with a mentoring session, being with us in person to also assist. So this morning happens to be the training in person session, which we are giving you. For now, let's make the most of our time together today. Let's dive into this session critically. We have another session which is also going to be for trainers, those who train entrepreneurs in Ghana. And with that, since you are here, I know it's also going to be an opportunity for you to learn how you can train others. From last year, there is a lady who has taken it upon herself. She is now a trainer, and she's doing it full time. Having gone into the course, she learned the design thinking, and she's now doing business with it. She's now having even a consultancy, which she's using the design thinking principles and others to help you come to her. She guides you through the design thinking principles. You have been able to come with great idea, and she charges you for that. She's into business. She's into business. So you need to take it very serious as we go deeper into that today. So let's engage fully, absorb as much as you can, and enjoy this time together. Your journey towards building a successful business starts here, and we're excited to walk alongside with you today and forever. Thank you very much.
Shall we put our hands together one more time for Mr. Kingsley Kweku Penkra? Indeed, it is possible. You can equally start charging once you're able to build yourself within these training sessions we are having today. I wouldn't want to waste much time, and so would want to zoom straight into action and call on our first trainer to walk us through what we need to know as far as design thinking is concerned. And to do us the honors and run us through this training session for introduction to design thinking, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to call on the programs and community manager, Queen's University, all the way from Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Joanna Tinus. Let's put our hands together for her. Although it's much better for her. Thank
you. How's everyone doing this morning? Good? Great. So I think most of you met me yesterday, but for those who don't know, my name is Joanna Tinus, and I'm a program and community manager with the Dunin-Deshpande Queen's Innovation Center at Queen's University. So I've been with the center for 7 years now. I did my undergraduate degree in psychology and philosophy. I got a master's of philosophy degree, and then I did a graduate diploma in business. So I've gone through the process of human psyche, philosophical thinking, and incorporating business into all of those different aspects of my life. And that's kind of what led me here to the Innovation Center to support students working on ventures and starting to build them from the ground up. So that context is really interesting in the conversation I want to have with you this morning, because as most of you know, if you've been through our content, human-centric approaches to innovation are really critical. So I just want to start by asking, how many of you have been through the E-Jobs4All program or the Jim Leach MasterCard Foundation Fellowship program content? Raise of hands. Okay, so some of you have, and some haven't, which I think is great, because I want this to be an opportunity for those who have been through the content to help support those who may be newer on in the journey of innovation and entrepreneurship. Yeah, oh, thanks. And then one other question before we start. Is it on? Just while we're figuring this out, that's the wrong one. Okay, just while we're getting that figured out, how many of you have a venture that has paying customers? Raise your hand. Okay. There's a few. Okay, that's perfect. They're just going to pull up the slides, but while we wait, so at our center, we believe everyone has the potential for creative problem solving, and our mission is to catalyze that potential by developing entrepreneurial mindsets in students and fostering a culture of innovation at Queen's University, but also in our Kingston community in Ontario, Canada, and also across the globe. So we build change makers by encouraging and supporting them through workshops, training, incubation programs, networking opportunities, and pitch competitions. So throughout the 12 years that we've been delivering entrepreneurship training, there's two really foundational topics that we've focused on when we're training entrepreneurs, and that is design thinking and customer discovery. So for those of you who've been through the content, you really do understand the importance of having that focus on the humans, on the customers, on the people that you're serving all throughout your journey, starting from the very beginning. So this quote is from Bill Allett, who is a professor and director of the Martin Trust Center for Entrepreneurship at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, so MIT. When we were building our center, we went all around the world looking at all these different innovation and incubation centers, and MIT was the one that really aligned best with, I think, the way we wanted to approach it. So they're a multidisciplinary center serving students from all across the university. They are really focused on design thinking and customer discovery, and the approach that they use there is what we've adopted and iterated on to create our own content. So this quote here really is the core piece of information that we share with all our ventures. So it says the single necessary and sufficient condition for a business is a paying customer. So it doesn't matter if you think you have an awesome solution, an awesome technology or app, or cleaning product or whatever it may be. If you don't have a paying customer, then you don't have a business. So that's what we're going to kind of dive into a little bit. And then Megan and Duncan are going to take you through some interactive exercises that will allow you to kind of put some of this to practice and put in more context. Okay, so our programs are focused in 3 phases. There's explore, ignite, and launch. And that explore phase is really where everything happens. At this stage of the process, it's really up to you to understand what your customers want, who they are, and to ensure that whatever you're building is something that they want to buy. So in the early stages of starting a new venture, you really have one goal to achieve, and that's problem solution fit. So this is the process of identifying the exact problem that your customers are facing and of developing a solution that meets their exact needs. So that is really the primary goal of customer discovery. And we do find that our founders are quite nervous because it's a bit daunting, especially if you're on your own or if there's only a couple of you on the team. Talking to a lot of people is time consuming, but it's also scary. Some people don't like going up and talking to people, so we really try and break down those barriers for them as they're starting out. Just get in front of as many people as you can. For example, if you're developing like a cleaning product that's natural and sustainable, you would start talking to people on the street, maybe outside of a store where they buy those products, to understand what products they use. Are they looking for something that's better for the environment, and asking those kind of really important questions. Okay. So if problem solution fit is what we're after, what are the ways that we get there? So in design thinking, there's a really iterative approach where you start with empathizing with your customer, and then you move to kind of testing that out as best you can in a quick and cheap way. So in design thinking, the core concept is start with the problem. We reinforce this over and over and over again. You really want to make sure that problem is well understood, and then iterate on that by talking to your customers, test with them, get a prototype, get it in their hands, and see if they like it or not. And it's really about defining that problem until you reach the basis for what you have for your venture to move forward. So this is a good example to try and put that into a bit of context. So in Canada, we have a really big problem with wait times at hospitals and clinics and everything like that. And I've heard there's a similar problem here. Is that true? Yeah, okay. So perfect. So Wave the Wait is a company that started in our program a few years ago. And they had just observed, so the founder of this company had an experience that was really traumatic where his father almost died in the waiting room because he wasn't able to be seen quickly. So that really traumatized him as a young kid. And as he got older, he really wanted to solve that problem. So he narrowed in over time on the problem of administrative burden and overload in the clinic staff. So really what was the barrier that he observed by going into clinics and talking to people was that it took a lot of time for one or two people at the front desk to get through all of the, going through their health cards, going through all the documents they needed. So after several years of customer discovery, they arrived at a software to address that administrative burden of the clinic staff. His original thought was, I'll just have this app that people can sign in and they can wait online. But when he dove into that customer discovery process, he talked to customers in the waiting room, he sat in the waiting room and shadowed the situation, he talked to the staff, he talked to doctors and nurses. He really learned that it was that admin overload that was causing a lot of the issues. So they developed an automated task manager to automate patient communications, which was eliminating as many as 70 phone calls a day for the front desk people at these clinics. It was also triaging some of their documentation, so saving more time. And of course, the smart waiting room was another function, but it wasn't like the core piece that he originally thought. I'm just gonna skip those. Okay, so this is this customer discovery process that Kingsley was mentioning, and is the other really core concept in the training that we deliver. So as I mentioned, design thinking is really there's 5 key steps: empathize, define, prototype, and test. And the customer discovery process is focused on that first section there. So that's where we spend most of our time. And it really is an iterative process. Whether you're empathizing with your customers through observation and interviews or running experiments and prototyping with your customers, again, you're talking to them and allowing them to interact with your solution, which is essential to know whether you're building something of value. This disciplined entrepreneurship framework is what we use to guide the training of our entrepreneurs as well. So this was the framework that was developed at MIT. It's basically a 24-step framework, and I just want to focus in on the first 5, which also really focus on that customer discovery piece. And then we're just going to walk through a quick example and have you guys brainstorm a couple of potential ideas with me. And then we'll wrap up and have Duncan take over and talk about implementing some of these practices. Okay, so the 5 areas that we're going to focus on are market segmentation, so figuring out there's so many different customers you can have, but what is the specific group of people that you want to target. And so selecting that beachhead market, exactly defining the type of customer you want to look for. Building an end user profile. So basically envisioning your user walking through accessing your solution and using it and what that journey looks like for them. Then you want to look into these things later on, calculating your market size, identifying your next best group of customers, etc. Okay, so The first step of market segmentation really has 3 pieces. So you want to start off with brainstorming all the potential customers your product could have. So if you have a rough idea and you want to serve them, what does that market look like, and what are some potential solutions that might help serve them? So again, an example is you notice the problem of, cleaning products putting a lot of chemicals into the environment. You're passionate about that problem and you want to solve it. So then you need to think to yourself, who is my target customer? Who would want to buy this from me? And what potential ideas, like maybe what cleaning products you want to start with, if there's one that's particularly harmful or if one that people use a lot, all those kinds of questions. And then you'll start to narrow in exactly on who and what you will focus on, and then do that primary market research along the way to inform that process. Okay, so here's an example, and then I'm going to get people to put up their hands and give me some ideas. We have a venture in our program that was interested in using algae as a sustainable food alternative. So they didn't really know where they wanted to start in this problem area, but basically the problem is that meat consumption causes a lot of negative effects for the environment, and so they were looking at alternative meat options. So if we start thinking about potential customers, what do people think of for an alternative to meat that it's very high in protein? Yeah? Vegetarians? Yep. Anyone else? I think that's a good one. Vegetarians. So, yeah, they brainstormed a few different options. So there's vegans and vegetarians who are looking for sustainable protein. There was also people who were iron deficient. So some people just have a really big iron deficiency, whether they eat meat or not. So this, because it's a higher iron product, it's also a supplement for them. There's also vegan supplements market, so not the consumer, but the industry of natural supplements. And then there was a bunch of different potential solutions to that. So they had looked at noodles, they'd looked at bars, they'd looked at protein shakes, etc. And then they ended up narrowing in on the vegan athlete market. So this was a group of people who didn't eat meat, but they were very active, so they needed really high levels of protein, and they needed something that was easy to access and on the go. So in order to get to this identified market, they did a lot of work throughout the summer. So we had markets where they would go and they'd put up a booth and they would have sample products and be testing it with people at the market, getting their feedback. So that was a really easy way for them to just get in front of a bunch of people very quickly with a rough idea. And as I mentioned, they started with noodles. So they were pasta noodles, and they were dark green, and they were a bit scary looking to the average consumer. And they realized that people did not want that. So they moved away from that and realized that actually on-the-go supplement was much more interesting to their consumer. So they focused really on mountain-based sports like hiking, mountain biking, running, and skiing, where people could just kind of pull out a bar and eat it quickly. Okay. So with primary market research, these are some of the key things that you can do. So as I mentioned, just talking with as many people as possible. So that can look like interviews. You can do focus groups. Does everyone know what a focus group is? Yeah. So just instead of talking one-on-one to individual people, you can get groups of people together in a room and just ask the whole group some questions to see what they think about your potential idea and get an understanding of their pain points. There's observational research and immersion, as I mentioned, so just Some of the speakers yesterday mentioned the importance of just being curious and observing the world around you. And that's really important. Just walk around in your community and identify problems that you are really passionate about. And then that allows you to just see how people are interacting. Like, what does it look like when you're standing outside a clinic? Or what does it look like when people are purchasing household products to clean their home? And those types of things. User tests. So as I mentioned with the market, going out and just putting something in their hands, there's really efficient ways of prototyping something quickly and cheaply in order to just put it in people's hands. So it doesn't need to be a full packaged, branded, labeled product or a fully developed app. It can just be a drawn out thing on, there's lots of different softwares you can use if you have an app to put it in front of your potential customers and ask them what they think about like the potential flow. Does this make sense to you? If this is here, would you click there, or is that intuitive or not? And then, yeah, as I mentioned, focus groups. And I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see that last one. Okay. And I think, yeah, this is just the different tools. So I mentioned interviewing and observation, but there's also personas. So just getting an understanding of the key characteristics of your customer, as I mentioned earlier. So what age group are they in? There's actually a slide back here. These are really good questions to ask yourself. Do they have like accessible means of income? Or is it a lower socioeconomic group of customers that really impacts what your product will look like? Yeah, are they readily accessible? Like, can you, if you wanted a storefront, like, is the person who's going to buy your product going to be coming there? Or how do you get in front of them? And those types of key questions. So, these concepts, I know I provided a really high overview, but many of you have been through the content. So we actually have design thinking and customer discovery badges that are part of all of our programs, including E-Jobs4All and the Jim Leach MasterCard Foundation Fellowship. And we give these badges as a recognition of people going through these really important steps. And they're accessible to you as an opportunity if you wanted to dive really deep into all of these concepts and learn really what it means to engage your customers and interact with them to better understand their needs and what potential solutions you could offer to support them. So that is everything. As Megan and Duncan are going to take over with a really interactive exercise to reinforce some of those concepts. But does anyone have any questions before they get started? Question time on customer discovery. You can ask anything. Your questions may also come through this next exercise. So, but yeah, I'll just, right before, as they're coming up, I'll reinforce the key points. So always, 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 when we talk to people, everything that's delivered in those two more detailed workshops comes down to like 3 main things. Always talk to the people that you want to serve before you develop a solution, because you could spend all this time and resource developing something that no one will buy. So we've seen it so often, and a really good example is, say you have a team of all engineering founders, and you have a cool technology and you want to develop an app or like a physical product, and they go out into the market trying to figure out who that solution belongs to, and they just can't find it because it doesn't exist. And we've seen it happen so many times, and they've spent hundreds of hours coding, developing, or creating the product. They've spent time developing a business model and pitching and trying to get interactions with potential investors, and it's just nothing ends up happening, and it doesn't succeed. So talk to people, hundreds, if not more. Start with the problem and not the solution. And then that, going back to the very start, ultimately what makes a successful business is having a paying customer. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, so he's saying customer discovery and customer needs go hand in hand, which is exactly it. Like you need to engage in customer discovery to truly understand the needs of your customers. Otherwise, you're just making assumptions. And that's one of the really big faults is we assume that because we've observed a problem or we're passionate about a problem or a potential solution that it actually is the right solution, and that's not always the case. So getting those diverse perspectives from people who are actually the ones like interested in it and who also might be the ones purchasing it is really what will help you define something from the beginning that people want. Yeah, Michael? Yeah, that's a good question. So what we find is essentially, so when you're talking to people, it's best to be as open-ended as possible. So you don't want to have any leading questions like, you know, does this app look good to you, and show it to them. You want to ask, you know, you need an app that helps you with your experience at waiting for health service, for example. That's kind of leading, as opposed to approaching people, say, waiting outside and saying, how long has it taken you? What has your experience been like trying to access healthcare? Learning more about that, talking to the people at the front desk or the triage service and saying, what is your experience like sitting here and trying to serve these thousands of people in a day? So being really open about that with as many people as possible. And then what we find is our founders often reach a point that we call saturation, where they've talked to so many people that they're hearing the same thing over and over again. So there's common information that you receive from all of those different people, and it kind of leads you in the direction of, okay, there's really a problem in this area, and I can focus on that in order to help truly solve a problem for them. So it is difficult, it's very iterative, as you said, but just focusing really on what those people are saying and what you're hearing the most from all those people. And once you get to a point, like I said, where you've talked to so many people and you've heard the same thing from like 90% of them, then you kind of know where you need to go and pivot. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I want to submit a question. I'm William, and my question has to do with in the customer discovery phase, if you see in a highly fragmented and then traditionally based industry, specifically let's take construction for instance, where it becomes very difficult to approach some of these businesses. Primarily with the training you have given us, you may have identified your key decision-making units probably within the step 13 of the discipline entrepreneurship framework. But approaching these kind of key decision-making units is kind of challenging, especially when you're a startup and you practically don't have any evidence to show. You may have your set of questions or whatever details you may want to inquire of these customers. But approaching them, like I did say, you may have identified them right, but approaching them and getting access to them is a problem. And then from our study, you also did indicated earlier that beyond what the customers are saying, a critical part of it is also to observe them. Because people do, it is better to study what they are doing more than what they say. people sometimes do something different from what they do say.
Exactly.
So that is another critical component. Here's the case: you are not getting access to either observe or even get to assert information from them. So what advice or counsel would you give to a startup that is in a heavily traditional based or fragmented segment, and assessing these key decision making units for your business is a challenge? Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great point, and something we see a lot with some of the founders that are looking for more like industry heavy solutions. So what we recommend here is obviously like LinkedIn is a really, really excellent resource because you can search filters by industry, and often looking for the retired folks is actually really helpful. So when you're just search on LinkedIn for industry filters, and people will come up, and you can usually identify those that are retired and no longer working. We find those people really willing to give back. Leveraging your networks within programs like E-Jobs4All or the Jim Leach MasterCard Foundation, even this network here, and like people like Kingsley and his network, and basically everyone you meet who's been an entrepreneur in that space, leveraging those connections so that they can get you, so you're not just cold emailing and cold calling and all of that, which you should still do, but leveraging that network so you have a warm introduction. And then the other thing is just don't be afraid. It's really helpful if you are a student, because you can kind of approach it from that perspective, saying, I'm a student, I'm looking at this problem, and I'd really like to talk to you. People tend to be really open to helping students. If you're not a student, like I said, just trying to leverage, like if you are in the E-Jobs4All program, saying, I'm part of this entrepreneurship program, I'm walking through this discovery phase, and just being really honest about you being in the early stages and just looking for support. So it's definitely challenging, but we have seen our founders taking that approach, be able to get in touch with, get a tour of a facility, like a manufacturing facility or something like that. So I think it's definitely scarier. It's customer discovery is scary in general, but scarier when you're newer and approaching some higher level decision makers. So starting grassroots, start to get to chat with people that you may know through your network, and eventually you can navigate up through to who the decision makers are. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Governor. Yeah, my question is, could there be a situation whereby in customer discovery, an entrepreneur identify a problem, but at the end of the product, there are no customers to patronage that product? I ask with the sense that there are entrepreneurs who set up businesses at certain places for 2 or 3 years, they fold up. What could be the cause? Because they are not getting customers. So that's what I'm asking. Could there be a situation that you identify a problem, produce the product, but the customers at your demography or the geographical area you are located, there are no customers there to patronize your product? Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and that question is the perfect example of why this is so important, because I think oftentimes if you see a business where it looks like they have a problem they're solving, but they're not getting customers, there's a big problem there, and maybe they haven't spoken enough with the potential customers throughout that process. Part of identifying the problem, as I kind of mentioned, with the key questions, and we can share the slides as well, like those key questions to ask yourself when you're identifying your market segment and how you want to set up the solution. One of those questions is like, you really need to think about, who are these people? What kind of money do they have? Where do they live? Where do they work and play? Where, what is their kind of journey like on their way to work? Do they take transit, or do they do this? And then depending on what your solution is, you can then position yourself accordingly in terms of where you need to be, or maybe you don't need to be a physical location, you need to be an e-commerce store, because that's more accessible for everybody. So those are all the difficult questions that need to be answered along the way. And really, the only way to answer those questions is by talking to people. So I guess my observation there is that maybe the people that you're seeing that think they have a solution to a problem haven't actually talked to their customers before setting up shop. You know what I mean? Okay.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Michael Anankansa. Please, this is a follow-up to our brother's question. He made mention of the construction sector. I believe we have people here who are in that industry. And you see, we are in a country where you are going to bid for a contract and you are asked to present a CV with 7 years experience. Meanwhile, you are a startup. You need just a gutter, a few kilometers of gutter to construct as a subcontractor. And you are asked this question of 7 years experience with stated capital of about 1 million Ghana cedis. Are you getting my point? If I have that kind of money, do you think I'll be chasing a subcontract? I would rather go in for the bigger contract. This is the kind of country that we are having a challenge of. If you are a startup, especially those who find themselves in the herbal medicine, do you have herbal medicine practitioners here? If you are into herbal, if you don't give them the sweet words, if you are a herbalist and you are selling your medicine, if you don't give them the sweet words, you never get the customers. Mm-hmm. And such issues, if you are selling your medicine, you have to, one medicine must solve about 12 problems. You understand?
Yes.
And the common basic cause of every sickness is cuckoo. Do you know cuckoo? do you know cuckoo?
Yes.
Do you know that? Do you know that sickness? Have you heard of PAS before?
Okay, so I think I understand.
All right. So please, I'm about to finish. So please, as we are all gathered here, we are all blessed with talent and rich resources, and in terms of thinking and in terms of performance. We have a lot of our colleagues who are on the street hawking other kind of products because the capital to even push the products on the internet and other platforms is a challenge. So in all this, I want to plead on our behalf that every support that you have for us, please provide for us. Are you getting me? And we will make sure, as for the customer delivery, we are going to discover them every corner. And we will pursue and we will make sure we achieve excellence in our businesses. So as much as I'm following up on the question, I'm also making a case for everyone here to present on our behalf. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. All right. So yeah, I definitely don't understand the context as well as I can because I'm not from this country, but I will say that that's not unique to Africa in terms of having that problem of getting into an industry like construction if you're a startup. It is not easy in Canada. Canada has very rigorous government policies, procedures, procurement practices that really hinder startups from getting a contract with some of those big providers. So I think all that we try and reinforce is going through that discovery phase with them. When you're engaging them and they're your potential customer down the line, if they're included in the process of developing your product from the very beginning, you start developing that relationship. So it's really about relationship building, and obviously as you gain experience, you get more trustworthy. The other recommendation is advisors and mentors. So having an advisory board built out for your startup that really augments the experience of your team and fills those gaps. So we see, startups of young founders who are all like 23, they can't by any means talk to the people that they need to talk to or get the contracts that they need. And they do so by bringing on people who they do have willing to support, who can then go in with them and speak to the quality of their product or service. So those are the main recommendations there. And then I had another thought and I'm forgetting. But yeah, the funding thing it's also terrible. The investment landscape in Canada is not like it is in the US. It is very hard for founders to get capital and access to that capital. And we always reinforce that if you're focusing as an entrepreneur on funding as the problem, it's not a good mindset to have. You'll remember the prof who spoke yesterday, the member of parliament. He said, "What can I do?" is how you need to approach it. So if the problem is funding, what can I do? And we've seen so many founders in our African entrepreneurship programs not get into the pitch competition, not get seed funding from us, but leverage their experience to get funding from other organizations, other pitch competitions, other initiatives. And I think maybe that's something that Duncan can speak to a little more fully when he's giving his presentation, because he has experience here navigating that complex environment. So it's definitely unique in Africa and unique in Canada in different ways, but I don't actually think it's that much different. There's similar challenges, and I think just being like persevering, leveraging your network, getting those people to fill gaps where you can't, and connect you with the people who you need connected with is really like the key things that are going to make you successful.
Right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ebenezer. I want to share some experiences of certain lessons that could help in terms of the question that was asked by one of the other participants. So first is, if you have a product and then you don't have paying customers, then it's probably because you were not able to segment your customers. So what I realized from what I was doing is I was focusing on getting water to people who did not have access to water. But I also realized that the people that I thought it was really a big problem for, they had alternative source of water. But there were also other people who did not have any other alternative at all. So those who had alternatives for the solution I was trying to offer, they were willing to pay lesser as compared to those who do not have any alternative at all. So if you're able to segment your market and to understand your market well, you'll be able to establish those who really, the problem is it's a serious pain point for them. I think the pain point, the concept of a pain point is also one of the emphasis in the course. People may have a problem, but they may have other ways of dealing with it. Mm-hmm. People may also have that same problem and may not have any other way at all of dealing with it. And it's a pressing need for them. So if you bring that solution to that customer, where you have, like I think on the first or third slide, there was something on the product customer fit. If you have the right product and you have the right customer, then you'll be good to go. The next is competition, understanding your competitors. Sometimes you may want to go into construction. Maybe you may be looking at a very big construction firm, but that construction firm may also have a need. Maybe they need people to supply them with water. So instead of really competing face to face with them, you can also look at certain things that your competitors also need, or even ways of aligning with your your competitor, so that you actually work hand in hand with your competitor until such a point where you establish yourself and then you can go independently. I think that if you have these in mind, then you would, little by little, you'll be able to also get to where you want to get to. Thank you.
Thank you. Before you get rid of the mic, I'm just curious, how did you identify that the market you were targeting wasn't the exact one? Like, how did you come to the realization that it was a different market?
Okay, basically it was just about going out there and talking to people.
Exactly.
Finding out, so it's water. As a health worker, I realized that a lot of patients that I was seeing was because they were not having access to water. But when I went out to speak to them, I realized that in certain places like, I live in Tamale. I work also with the University for Development Studies. I realized that the students who come to live in private hostels that are not connected to the Ghana Water Company, they do not have any alternative at all in terms of getting access to water. So there, those who retail water sell it at 3 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos. But in the communities where they have dams, maybe rainwater, they are willing to buy the same product, same volume at 1 cedi, 50 pesos. Mm-hmm. because they have alternative sources of water. So I also realized that if I want to sort of select a market where I can start, generate enough revenue to expand, then I'll focus first on those who are willing to pay for the same thing at 3 Ghana cedi 50 pesos. Because that way, if I build the capacity and I get the resources that I need, then I can spread my wings to cover my other market segments. Thank you.
That's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, that's perfectly said. So exactly, he's just explained the exact importance of customer discovery. He thought he had a solution. He did. He did have one that people wanted. It just, he wasn't targeting the right market. And he only learned that by going out into the field, talking to people, and better understanding what the actual pain points and problems were with his potential customers. So that's an excellent example of, if he hadn't gone out into the market, he may have just decided, oh, no one wants to buy this. But he wanted to learn more. He was curious. He dove in a bit further, and he was able to identify that there was a need somewhere, which is really incredible. So congratulations.
Okay. My name is Baba Bayondonwese. I think with startups that are having competitors, it's easy to easily identify some of your customers. But with novel ideas that we are coming in, we came to realize that some of our customers don't even know what they want until you bring out your solution. Because it is your idea as the entrepreneur. So when you go out to ask these customers what they want, they end up confusing you. At the end, you may not even come up with the exact thing that you want. I want to know from your side, what do you suggest? Do you, as a novel idea coming out, need to contact the customers first, or you need to bring it out for them to see before you contact them? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think I mentioned it briefly, but we do dive into some of the best interview practices in our modules in more detail. And one of those core practices in talking to customers is leaving it as open-ended as possible in the very beginning. Because as you mentioned, they may not really understand a need that or a pain point that they're experiencing, something that you can solve. But the only way to uncover those pain points is by, first of all, chatting with them in an open-ended way. Like I said, not putting your product in front of them right away, but just talking and understanding their pain points in that area. Say how they transit to work. What does it look like your day getting from home to work? What major challenges do you face along the way, et cetera, et cetera. And then once you do have some understanding, then you're able to get a little bit more targeted in terms of putting something potentially in front of them. But I think it really is just, and then observation as well. It's not just going and talking to them, but you also just kind of need to observe what's going on in the environment to understand, because as someone mentioned here, people don't always say they have a problem. They don't always do what they say they do. They actually, what's a good example that we've used is if you ask someone if they have trouble finding parking at work, say in our context in Canada, they might just say no. But then if you just ask them, what does your journey look like finding parking at work? They say, oh, well, I just pay, this much for an off-campus parking lot, and it costs them a ton of money. So they're spending a lot of money on parking, but they didn't identify that as a problem. Because just the way you approach that question, the questions with them allows them to kind of reveal a little more information that you can then interpret and analyze. Okay, yeah, we'll take the last 2 questions, and then I think we probably need to move on.
Hello, everybody. The compliances that we have here in Ghana is too much. I was a contractor, but then I learned a lot. I've stopped doing construction now because of I wasn't well, so I had to stop working. But I love it. I learned every little thing that I am supposed to do. Compliances avoids penalties, and that is why when they call somebody to come and do construction, they will ask you, Do you have this or that before you join the contractor or whoever you are using the products? And some of these products, it can kill people. We've seen a lot has happened in Ghana some few years ago when buildings are coming down and people are dying and all that. All these things is standards. That's why we need compliances. So when you are in a business person or you are SMEs, please, those things are key for your life. And the passion about your work is, how can I do my business so that people will enjoy it or use it so that you can become sustainable and help others. So it's very, very important. Sustainability and growth is key for us. So some of these things, it helps you to the standards help us to become sustainable and growth for SMEs. And maybe the last thing building your trust, building trust is key. So some of these things, don't think that people just want to hurt you or you have just started doing construction and somebody doesn't want to give you a business. No. See the ones that you can do, like buying water or joining, bringing some sand or something that you can do. And
the people who do not want their product at all and who have a lot of bad things to say about it, they're actually your best friend. They're actually not your worst enemy, because just ask why. So when you get turned down and you're really upset, you just ask, okay, thank you for your feedback. Why can't you sign this contract with me? What would I need for you to be comfortable signing a contract with me? And compliance is definitely something that matters in Canada as well with healthcare. So we have a lot of really strict requirements on data protection and privacy, and a lot of our healthcare startups have to navigate that complex environment. And really, it's just been people saying, I would never buy that because my patient data is not secure. And then they have to go work back through getting those certifications and compliances before they can get in front of a customer. So it's a great point. Yeah.
Okay. My name is Joseph. What I would say about the customer discovery is our customers satisfy with every product or services they are receiving. Assuming I want to enter into fashion designing, there are a lot of fashion designers out there who are doing work. And we have to know whether they are satisfied with the services they are receiving out there. Because we have some workers, when you give your thing to them to do for you, it will take a long time before you receive it. So if you also want to get into that business field, how reliable are you? Can they trust you that the time frame, I need this within 3 weeks or 1 month, will I get it? So if you're able to meet the time frame, trust me, you'll get more of your customers. So if you don't meet the time frame, what they'll say is that, oh, they are all the same. So you should be able to stand out in your business. So when you stand out, don't try to compete with them. For they are already in the market world. You are now coming. So stand out so that you can beat them. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's take some questions from here.
We had, yeah.
I think that side is okay.
The guy in the green shirt had his hand up.
Okay, thank you. I'm David, a lead for DZ Group. I want to talk about the construction center, the sector that thrives in Ghana and also actually deprive startups from entry. The challenge we have I have about 4 shops that I deal with building materials. But when I made mention to a senior man who actually is my uncle, I wanted to be doing some patches and stuff, the construction were with him. I ended up losing a toilet facility contract from him. And the reason was that I have no experience. But I've been dealing with building materials for the past 7 years in my business. And they purchase cement, iron rods, and all that from me. To the assembly, probably, maybe they have certain projects ongoing. And I can say that attempt I made 4 months back up to now, they've not even bought a single cement from me, from all these 4 shops that I have. And so, customer discovery. I've already discovered the customer who I was doing well with the customer, but because of my interest, I lost the customer again. Right. That's a fact, because I wanted to do construction where I put in a bid to build a toilet, the one they are building, right? The person I'm talking about is also the leader in the assembly who is in charge of those toilets. Because I made a bid to just one, let me try, then get the experience. I didn't get the contract, and I ended up losing the customer. They don't buy polythene from me. They don't buy iron rods from me again. They don't buy cement from me. But they were my biggest customers. So how do we deal with these issues? Now, I've now discovered something though. Let me share that with others. I used to try getting certain petty jobs from Manuel around how do you call this place? Katamansu Promised Land area. And they used to also buy from me. But because of trying to do this construction something, they were running away. So I've decided to now form a construction agency instead of being the contractor myself. Because the agency that I formed, now I have people, these artisans that the masons, the carpenters, all under me, who they would rather come to me. They don't know that the company belongs to me though. So they order these guys from me and they go and work and I get my share. Right. Because if you mention that you are also entering the sector where they are already big guys, you are a threat already, because when they give you 1 or 2 contracts to do, 2-3 years to come, you may be rolling your shoulders with them. So the solution is we just step on you and you vomit from the scene. So I have decided to also go the other way around. You use my voice, then I also tap from you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think you're exactly right. Like that, the problem is that you're always going to encounter people who step on you, and you're kind of at the mercy of like the big players in an industry, or people who are, you know, corrupt and not acting well, and we see it too. And really the only thing you can do with that is adapt and be resilient. So you did exactly that. You said, what can I do now? And thought of other ways of working around it. So critical skills that entrepreneurs need, right? Like instead of just giving up and walking away because someone was trying to hold you back, you were able to move around that. So it's definitely something we will always face, and there is no real answer to it other than thinking again, getting creative, like what can I do to still be successful, especially if it's a really challenging industry. And it sounds like construction here is one of the challenging ones. So that's also something to consider, right? If it's a really challenging industry and you just can't get in, what else could you do?
Good morning. My name is Echampon Eric Nyamiche, and I will talk about the 4 P's and the 3 P's under marketing, which is linked to the customer discovery. So first, I'll start with the product, Yeah, and the price, place, and promotion. So at first, you have to check the durability and the quality of the product, and also the price of the product. Pricing the product since we have the market price, and you can't just put any price on the product since you are the manufacturer, so you give the product any amount on it. And as well as the place, you have to identify the place where you market the product, and the place also is where you have your potential customers. Yeah, you must have your potential customers before you put the product on the market. And the promotion, yeah, how you get the product to reach your potential customers. Yeah. And the other three of the 4 P's, of the 3 P's is the people, which is the customer relationship, how you relate with the customers. Yeah. And the process, yeah, how you operate the business, or how you get the product to the customers. And physical evidence, which is the packaging, and yeah, that's all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, so for the sake of time, maybe we would have to do the other thoughts, contributions after the discussion. So we should limit it to just questions. If you have any question for her, you can kindly ask. But for the thoughts and contributions, we will do that afterwards. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I think we'll take one more, the lady at the back.
I have a question.
Okay. Can she go first, and then you can go?
No, boys first.
Gender balance.
There's been no women who've gone yet, so we can go in 1 second.
Oh, okay. So, I've heard...
Can we please have her question first?
Like, seriously?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Michaela, and my question is, what strategies would you recommend or prioritize after launching a new product? After launching a new product and competitors flood the market with cheaper alternative, how can a company maintain its value proposition and competitive edge in such situation? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so how can you maintain your place in the market as you launch your product and things evolve, other competitors are coming in, etc.? Is that the question? Yeah, so again, this is the design thinking process and where that comes in. So despite the main first part of it being customer discovery and empathy, it really is an iterative process. So you constantly want to be in contact with your customers even after you've developed your product. That will never end. So I think just maintaining that customer-centric approach. Once you've launched your product into the market, you want to be interacting with them, getting feedback about what they like, what they don't like about the product. So we've seen vendors just have QR codes or surveys that consumers are completing once they're using the products, and taking that information in and just constantly reassessing. So as the market changes, you do need to make sure that you're just adapting to exactly what the pain points still are of your user. Say if a new customer comes in and starts solving it better, what can you do and learn about your customers by maintaining that customer-centric approach to be able to set yourself apart? So it's going to be unique and challenging for everyone, but I think just again focusing on keeping the customers at your core so that you know what they need you to pivot to when the time comes. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, my name is Abraham. With regards to most of the comments and then ideas, as well as the questions involved, I've seen that the competition in the industry is very tough. So, as a new entrepreneur about to enter the world, how do I succeed in customer discovery in a highly competitive industry where the customers already have strong preference, how do I succeed?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's really important to be focused on competition and also making sure that there is a place. If the competition is really strong, that's why the importance of like doing a competitor analysis really thoroughly is important for that reason, but also just again, it comes back to the same thing. Talk to your customers and ask, what do you like about the current solutions that you have? What don't you like? Are there problems that it's not solving? And trying to understand exactly what they are experiencing. You definitely want to make sure that there's room in the market by doing that, researching online and checking if there's any startups or established players, but also don't forget about talking to people, because you may learn that, say everyone uses, I don't know, this is a bad example, but everyone uses WhatsApp and it doesn't allow them to, I don't know, like have multi-group chats with their friends or something. And that's something that they want, that this big established player can't provide right now. Is there room for you to come in and solve that problem? Or is it easier for this big player to just kind of move into that and just push you out of the market anyways? Those are just big questions to be asking yourself. And again, understanding what your users want and need and what they may not be getting from the current solutions, I think is the key for you. Okay. I think we're, okay.
Okay. My name is Hutchison Elisha Maxwell. And then my question is, how can the entrepreneurs make sure they are solving the real customer problems instead of relying on their own assumptions? Yeah, but what is going on? I want to know, how can they know they are solving the real problems of the customers? Yeah.
Yeah, I think just reiterating what I've talked about, right? Like, talk to as many people as you can. Talk to the people on the ground experiencing the problem, talk to the experts in the area, talk to current businesses operating in that area, and see what they really want. I think I mentioned it in response to a question over here, but you will reach a point where when you talk to people, you'll hear the same thing over and over again. If you're, have a problem area that you're focused on and you're just having conversations with people about that area, you will naturally reach a point where you're like, okay, this seems like this is a problem that needs to be solved. And then you can quickly develop like a low prototype and just talk to people about that. Like I said, we have people who just develop like a sample prototype of a product, like the algae bars I mentioned. They just made them in their home, and they didn't buy a bunch of machinery and do all that kind of thing. They developed the prototype. They went out and had people try it. People were like disgusted at first. They didn't like what was in it. And then they just iterated and stuff with their customers. And I think that's just the best you can do. Just talk to people and don't be afraid.
I think this will be the last question. Yeah, my name is Charles Asmini. My question is, it always necessary that we should focus on customer discovery, because other people start up with business and then without focusing with the customer discovery, they succeed. So if the answer will be yes, I'm sure. If it is yes, then what are the long-term benefits of customer discovery?
The long-term benefit is really like for people, especially like I think there's differences in types of businesses that you have. So if you have a product that people like based on the context that you live in, and that there's just huge demand for that certain product that can be met no matter what, that's a little bit of a different scenario where that there's enough people and enough desire for a certain product for it to come. But if you're looking to develop solutions that are a little bit more complex in nature, and you really don't know much about whether there is demand for that product, I think that's where customer discovery is really important. But even in the example of selling, water, it can seem as simple as that. But what this gentleman said he did was actually being out there and observing and doing his customer discovery really led him to the most lucrative market. So it's even if you think you have a solution and it's working and it's good and you have paying customers, maybe there's opportunities for you to make more money down the line or grow your business even further. Okay.
All right, thank you so much. Sorry, contribution. As mentioned earlier, the contributions will be taken later. Thank you. Oh, shall we put our hands together for it? Please, she deserves one more. Joanna, we are much grateful. She is the program and community manager for DDQIC from the Queen's University, all the way from Canada. Please, a resounding round of applause to her one more time. Soon we will zoom into the next activity for the day, and the next speaker is equally ready for his presentation, and he will be doing or touching much more on moving venture. So if for nothing at all, Joanna has taught us this morning that before you venture into any business, before you develop a business model, before you would want to produce a product, you first need to do what? You first need to do what? Oh, do we need free SHS? You first need to do what? So you identify a problem. Thank you. Our next speaker is ready for his presentation. And currently as we speak, he is a program coach at DDQIC, Queen's University, also from Canada. He is the founder of Mr. Needs Limited, a car polish manufacturing company. Equally, the founder of Sterling Farm Global, organic taro root farming company. And he is an alumnus for the Jim Lynch MasterCard Foundation program, Queen's University, in the year 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, to delve deeper into moving venture, with a resounding round of applause, let's receive Mr. Duncan Asamoah.
Hi everyone. That's what I mostly say at JLMCF. I have some of my students here and I'm excited to see you all. As is already mentioned, can you check this? Yeah, it's not coming. It's not coming.
Because it's close to the speaker.
Hello. I hope you can hear me clearly now. All right. So my name is Duncan, as Asamoah has already introduced, and I am a program coach at Dunin-Deshpande Innovation Center at Queen's University. And I'm also the founder of Mr. Needs Limited, where we manufacture car polish meant for your dashboard, your car body, every component of cars except anything made of fabric. And I'm also the founder of Sterling Farm Global, where we do organic taro root farming. In Ghana, it's called brobe. You know brobe, right? Cocoa. Yeah, we farm it on the Insaom Road. And I am also a biochemist from KNUST, but I won't use that today. Today we are talking about entrepreneurship, not science. And I'm happy to take you through moving venture, a car analogy in venture development and bootstrapping. I remember starting Mr. Neat with 500 Canadian dollars type it. By then, it was 2,000 cedis, just 2,000 cedis. And we started manufacturing just one product. It was a car wash shampoo. We sold a car wash shampoo and then grew from there gradually. Yesterday, one of the speakers spoke about patience. We had to sell bottle by bottle, reinvest the money. We are going to have panel discussion today, and I'll delve deeper into how those whole things were made. But today we are going to talk fully about building your businesses. How many of you are entrepreneurs, fully entrepreneurs, or running a startup? Everyone. And a whole lot of us also train startups, they train entrepreneurs. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Moving Venture Part 1, a car analogy in venture development and bootstrapping. This workshop should help you have a broader scope in venture development. It should equally help you understand your respective ventures and also understand what goes into idea development. Not forgetting the fact that you should be able to relate your venture to a specific vehicle. Strange, right? And you should understand the role stakeholders play in your respective ventures. And then you should be able to assemble stakeholders and link to the strongest team in the venture you are running. And you should be able to understand the concept of competitive positioning, and then you know when to go in for license. So, let's begin. The term bootstrapping could mean a whole lot of things. In the field of business, bootstrapping means getting out of a situation with limited resources. The situation we are talking about here is the business you want to run. And the resources we are talking about here could be some personal skills you already have. And it could also be some room you have available or some machine you already have. So you are using these resources you have available to get out of a situation. The situation here is the business you want to run. Take note. Another form of resources we will talk about is financing. So in terms of bootstrapping, it means you are going to be your own investor or venture capitalist for a while. A whole lot of things goes into bootstrapping. Bootstrapping starts from the business idea stage till you start growing the business. And like you having a 1-year-old baby today, after 5 years they grow, right? A whole lot of things happen between the age of 1 to 5. They eat, they fall sick, they go for weighing. The same thing happens to bootstrapping. A whole lot of things happen between you having the idea and you growing the business. That is team formation, market research, stakeholders assembling, competitive analysis, funding. So you are your own investor, right? Funding. And then risk management and marketing before you get to the growing stage. So once you start growing, you start pitching your businesses to investors for money, like what people will be doing here tomorrow, right? Now, a whole lot of startups are ideal when it comes to market research and competitive analysis. They assume that, oh, this product I'm building, there's already market for it. People will buy. And they also assume that there's no competitor in the market I'm going. Oh, no one is doing it. I'm the only one doing it. You have not done your research. A lot of founders are idle when it comes to these two things. But these two things are the most important aspects of venture development. Ladies and gentlemen, today's presentation is grouped into two. Part 1 will be discussed today. Part 2 will be summarized because of time. Normally, we give Part 2 after a month at JLMCF. By then, you had digested Part 1 and worked on Part 1. So once we get to Part 2, we are going to proceed from there. And I have one of my students here, maybe she would tell you about it. So in Part 1, we are going to talk about your business idea and also talk about team formation, stakeholders assembling, licensing, and competitive analysis. This whole workshop is based on a car analogy. We are going to relate the components of cars to that of your business development. With that being said, the car body represents the idea you are developing. The engine represents the stakeholders you need for your venture. The tires represent your team. So I want you to pay close attention to this. The car body represents the idea. And then the engine representing your stakeholders. And then the car tire representing your team. And the mirror representing your competitive advantage. And we will finish off part 1 with the headlights being the licensing. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin with the first part. That is the idea, the car body. Automobile manufacturing companies spend so much time on getting the body of a car right. Remember, the body here represents your idea. Take note of that. They spend so much time on getting the 2D and 3D models right, just to beat the wind. Remember, the more you run towards the wind, the more it pushes you back. They spend so much time to get a body that can easily penetrate the wind. Whilst doing this, they also have the end user in mind, that they want to build a car body that would attract the end user. Sometimes you see a car body and you'll be like, whoa, this is so nice. Remember, the wind you want to overcome here is the market. You want to penetrate the market. The car body person wants to penetrate the wind, creating a good car body. You want to create a business idea that you can rather use to penetrate the market. And there's one thing that is really going to help you penetrate the market. That is the design thinking approach. Thanks to Joanna. Joanna has gone through the customer discovery aspect of design thinking. And we will go through the prototyping and testing aspect. Design thinking helps you shape a car body. It helps you shape your car body that can help you easily penetrate the market. Because you will be having the end user problem at the center, which will force you to build a solution that is directly addressing the problem the end user is facing. And the two aspects of design thinking approach, which is prototyping and testing, will help you keep the end user's benefit in mind. The end user wants to use a product that they will gain more benefit from. And that is what the prototyping and that is what the prototyping and testing will be doing for you. The prototyping and testing would help you to be able to build a product that is of great benefit to your end user. So the design thinking approach is helping you to have the end user's problem in focus so that you can build a solution that is addressing their problem. Components of the design thinking, that is prototyping and testing, would help you build a solution that is of great benefit. For example, you are an entrepreneur and you want to reduce the rate at which vehicle owners leave their car keys in their room. They get to the garage before they remember and say, oh, I left my car keys. Please bring my car keys from the room. You want to reduce that. And you are proposing two solutions. Solution number one, you want to create a car that you are going to use your fingerprint to open. There's no way you leave your thumb in your room. Would you? No. And another person is saying they are going to create a card sensor. There's a high possibility you still leave that card sensor in your room. So you see, the card sensor is not of great benefit. If you are trying to choose between these two, which of these one will be of great benefit? Of course, it's your thumb. Who leaves a stamp in their room? Nobody. But you are likely to leave your card in the car or in the room. So you see, the card is not of great benefit. It's not directly addressing the problem the end user is facing. But if there is a fingerprint sensor, you are likely to get it. So take note of that when creating your solution. This whole workshop, like when you buy a new machinery, you get a user manual, right? This whole workshop is having its own user manual as well. There are about 6 user manuals that we will be meeting here. And the user manual provides tips, general tips on all components we are going to discuss today. So let's take a look at our first user manual. Our first user manual is saying that have the end user's problem at the center. You know why you should have the end user's problem at the center. Also, spend enough time on prototyping and testing. You know why you should spend enough time on prototyping and testing? So that you can build a solution of great benefit. You wouldn't be doing a card sensor. Rather, you'll be doing a fingerprint sensor, right? And your idea should address end users' top priorities and benefits. So the question you should all be asking yourself at this point is that, does my solution, does my car body, which is your idea, have benefits? Entrepreneurs, you should be asking yourself these questions. Now, let's move to the next part, which is the engine, stakeholders. The engine represents your stakeholders, and a whole lot of people come together to form the stakeholders of an organization, such as investors, government, partners, customers, and a whole lot more. And all of these stakeholders come together to form the engine of your venture. There are a whole lot of stakeholders today here, but we are going to talk about just 3. We will talk about the partners, we will talk about employees and customers. We will relate the partners to engine oil, and we are going to relate the customers to radiator coolants. I think there should be mechanics in this room. And we will relate the employees to fan belts. So let's start with the engine oil. The main role engine oil plays in automobile is that it allows lubrication to prevent friction, so every component of the automobile engine will work perfectly well. Remember, the engine represents your stakeholders. You know what makes stakeholders? A whole lot of things comes together. And you need all of these stakeholders to keep your venture running. And the part of stakeholders we are taking here are the partners, which represent the engine oil. So you need this engine oil to enable all components of your engine to run smoothly. That is the role your partners play. Let's take it, for instance, that you have a venture and you've got all the machineries available. There's one thing left. Your raw material suppliers, they are part of your partners. If they don't bring quality raw materials to you, there's no way you will be able to produce that product. Your machines will be in the room and you cannot produce them. They have become a vital component of your venture. They help keep it running. There are a whole lot of other partners that you require. Take a look at your venture. Which other partners do you need? Now, if your engine oil is dirty and you do not change it, those using cash, you know what will happen, right? So you regularly change your engine oil. Take a look at your partners. Which of them is dirty? You've got to change it to keep your venture running smoothly. If it's your raw material supplier who had, after working with them for a long time now, they started misbehaving, providing less quality materials for you, or they are less responsive or something, it's time to change it. They are being dirty. You've got to look for a replacement as soon as possible to get your venture running. Those going to start their businesses these are some of the things you should really bear in mind. You shouldn't say that, oh, I've worked with this person for a whole year, but they've started misbehaving. But you still need to produce quality products for your customers. Don't you? You do. So you need to change the engine oil. If you don't change the engine oil, what will happen? You know it. Ask the car owners. They'll tell you. Now, let's take a look at this. Radiator coolant. One role this radiator coolant does is, people use water, right, for that part. One thing it does is that it prevents overheating. If you don't have enough water in your radiator coolant, there's going to be overheating. And when this overheating is not controlled, it could destroy all components of your engine. The overheating we are talking about here is bankruptcy. And the radiator coolant we are talking here are the customers or the payers you need. If you are running an NGO, you will be dealing with donors. Those are the people you need to serve as radiator coolant. If you don't have enough payers or donors, you are going to get overheating. That is bankruptcy. Don't be so comfortable when 1 or 2 people are buying your product per day. Don't be relaxed that at least people are buying. You should get more people to buy. That will help you to think critically on ways and means to create a different business model to make people buy your product. Don't be so happy when 1 person buys your product, or 2 people or 3. No. You want 50, 20, 30. That will help you to think that how can I be strategic to get more people to buy my product? So with that, there's a less possibility that you are going to have overheating in your engine. But if you get one or two people, at the same time you want to employ people, you want to expand, you will get overheating and you start thinking of other means to make money which are not appropriate, right? Which could land you in trouble as a startup. Now, there is another component of the engine that is of great importance. You see, you can have the engine available and the sound will be going boom, 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 boom. But if there is this guy is not available, this particular guy called fan belt, if he is not available, there is no way you get an output. The engine will be on, boom, 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 boom. This guy called the fan belt, he makes sure that all components are joined together for you to get an output. That is what your employees play. If you go and buy fan belt, they come of different sizes. If you buy a wrong fan belt and fix them at a different component, it will be hanging. It cannot perform its work to give you the output. That is why it is very important to select the right employees for the right work. You don't have to say, oh, this person is my friend or family member or relative. So even if they don't have the skills or the knowledge in that field, let me employ them. With that, you are fixing a fan belt that is not fitting for the role. And if this fan belt is not fitting for the role like this, what will happen? It will be hanging. And if it gets hanging like that, there is no way you are going to get an output. Maybe you want that engine component to give you light. Because the fan belt is hanging, it's not able to combine other components, and there's no way you are going to get the light. So you want this particular employee to get this special skill. So if this person is not having that special skill, there's no way you are going to get an output. That is your profit or your impact. So you need to select the right fan belt for your engine. We can proceed to talk about more stakeholders, but we'll just select 3 because of time. Now that we know some engine components, let's see. Each and every one of you are running ventures. And some of you are running the venture for profit. Others are running it for both profits and impact. Others are running it for mainly not for profits. Irrespective of the venture you are running, you are either building a private car, a van, or a bus. Now, I want you to take a look at these 3. There are some things common here. That is the seats. If you are building a venture mainly for profit but not impact, it doesn't mean you are not solving a problem. You are solving a problem, but your main focus is not on societal impact. Your main focus is to solve the problem, get your profit, and go away. And another person is also solving a problem, but they are mainly also focusing on the societal impact at the same time. And another person is not interested in the profit. They are interested in creating impact. Take note at the seats. If you are building a private car, it means your main focus, if you take a closer look at the seats, you can see that this private car is having less seats than the van, but the bus is having more seats. The seats represent the impact you want to create. So the private car is not having more seats because they are focusing on the profit, not impact. The van is also having some seats, but they are not as much as that of the bus. So they want to also create some impact. But the bus guy, which is the NGO guys, they want to create impact. So they have big seats. So please take note. The seats here does not represent customers. Where are the customers located? Coolants, radiator coolants, to prevent overheating. They will pay you. If they are donors, they will give you donations. So the seats here represent the impact. I want you to take a closer look at that because you'll be using it throughout from part 1 to part 2 to... Now, the position, based on, you all know the type of cars you are running now, right? Let's get back. How many of you are moving private cars? Hands up. How many of you are building private cars? Don't be shy. You are solving a problem. You may be solving a problem, and it's fine not to have a societal impact, but you are solving a problem. And others would be solving a problem and still be having a societal impact. But how many of you are building vans? Yeah, I get this response a lot during whenever I've run this. We get a lot of people moving vans, but we get less people moving private cars. How many of you are building buses? Oh, Megan, no one wants to be like DDQIC. Wow. How many of you are building buses? Oh, no problem. So we got a lot of van people in this auditorium. That's perfect. So now let's proceed. The position of your engine is important depending on the venture you are running. So if you are running a private car, you have your engine in front. If you are running a van, you also have your engine in front. Take note, they have things in common. The van and then the private cars, they both have their engine in front. Remember, they both have profit as their mission. But one is having more seats for impact. The other is having no seats for impact. They just have room they have the engine in front. So take note of that. But if you are running an NGO, your engine is not in front, it's at the back. And we are going to explain why your engine is at the back. Now it's time to see how should we see our stakeholders. This is the time. Now, if you have your engine in front, it means your stakeholders are leading you to success. So if it is your raw material suppliers, if they do not bring your raw materials, if it is an investor, if they do not bring the money for you, there is no way you can get to your success of making profit. So that is how you should see your stakeholders. See them. If you are building a private car, see your stakeholders as people leading you to success. The same thing happens to those moving the van. I got a whole lot of people here moving vans. If you are moving a van, your stakeholders are also in front and they are also leading you to success. But if you are building an NGO, your stakeholders are behind. They are pushing you. They are supporting you. They are donating for you to move your venture successfully. That is how you should see your stakeholders. They are not leading you to success. They are pushing you to success. And also creating more impact, because that's your main mission. So take note of these. Now, depending on the location of your engine, tells more about the type of ties you should have for your venture, and that is what we will be talking about next. But before we move to the next part, let's take a look at our user manual. User manual 2. Ready? User manual 2 is saying, frequently check if you have enough and clean engine oil. That is the partners for smooth operation. Change oil when dirty. Example, unreliable and inconsistent raw material suppliers and more. You know the partners you need. You did the business model canvas. You filled that part. Those at E-Jobs4All. You've done it. You've gone through the materials. You know the partners you will need. Now, once you begin operating, you've listed them all right, but once you begin operating, it's a whole different level. For now, you've listed them, but when you begin, it's a whole different level. You realize that some of the partners you listed on your BMs, you wouldn't be needing them when you start operating. Theory is different from practical. And some of them, too, you realize that you need more partners and it's more complicated or less complicated. So you need to bear in mind, change your engine oil when dirty. You need enough coolant, payers. If you are moving a bus, you need what? If you are moving a bus, you need donors. So you need enough coolant, into bracket payers, in your radiator each day. Have a system in place to attract payers. If you are not getting the payers, it's time for you to think creatively. What business model do I have to switch to get more payers? Where should I position to get more payers? Recruit the correct fan belt. That's the employees. Discover the position of your engine. Is my engine in front or back? That would help you in visualizing your stakeholders. Now, to the next part, the car tires that represent your team. You see, there's this thing called rim. The rim serves as the grounds for your tie to roll. If your tie does not have a rim, there's no way it's going to roll. You need a rim for your ties to roll. You know the kind of team you want in future. If you have a team already, fine. If you want a future team, you know the kind of team you want. there are some ground rules you've set. That is the rim. Take note of that. So maybe you want this special knowledge in this special field or this special skill. You know it. That is serving as your rim. Now, once you get the rim, what do you look out for? The tire itself. So based on the ground rule you've set, you now go out to scout or recruit based on the size of the rim you have. You now go out there to recruit the tire to fit the rim. That has become you recruiting the team member. So the rim has served as the basis for the tire to be fixed on. Without the rim, do you think your tire alone can be moving around? No. So you need to know what you need. And if you take a closer look at, I think, worksheet 0, the DE workbook, if you've gone through that, there are some criteria for team recruitment. That should serve as the rim. So go back to your DE workbook. It's a very powerful tool. Don't joke with that book. Go back to the DE workbook. Check, I think, worksheet 0. There are some criteria for team recruitment. So those criteria is serving as your rim. Now it's time for you to go out there and based on that criteria, you need to recruit the tire to fix the rim. Ladies and gentlemen, the rim and the tire will be useless without one thing. Yeah, I've heard myself. The rim and tire would be useless without one thing. What is that? Air. That's great. This guy. Without a tube, you have the rim, you have the tire, but it will still be useless without a tube. Because you've gotten someone with a skill, you've gotten someone with the knowledge, you have set the ground rule as the rim, and you've recruited the person on board. But if you do not have a tube inside the tire, still it will be rim. And this tube represents this whole team that you've recruited. They having a common vision. They having shared value. And there being complementary skills. So you see the importance of this tube. So you have recruited team A, team B, team C on your team because they have the ground rule, that is the rim, which is maybe this person is a biochemist, this person is an engineer, this person is multitasking, this person is good in presenting, this person is that. You've recruited them. But if this person does not have passion in the entrepreneurial role, they will be there and not be performing perfectly. That is the tube. So you need to make sure that this person you are recruiting on board as your team member is having, or your team development is having a tube which represents common vision, shared value, and complementary skills. The vision should be common. You should all move on the same path. One should not move and the one should be reluctant. Oh, I'm tired. What happens when someone is moving and the person is other person is reluctant? We'll take a look at that. But once you get a good tube, now most of you mentioned air. You need to get a tube before you can pump in the air. So now you have the tube. If you do team discussion, because they have shared values, complementary skills, and common vision, when you do team discussion, it will work out. The team discussion here is you pumping the tire. If you pump it, it will work out. Because all the tube, every part is sealed. It's perfect. There's no leakage anywhere. The tire will be responsive. So there should be a tube there for the tire to be responsive. Without a tube, there's no way the rim and the tire itself will be responsive. So you will recruit a team all right, but you should all have common vision, complementary skills, shared values. You see the importance of having a tube in here. Now, let's see. The position of a tire is very important, depending on your engine position as well. What does the engine represent? Your shareholders. Shareholders are heavy. Remember when I was starting, I said a whole lot of people come together to form, your stakeholders. A whole lot of people come together to form your stakeholders. Stakeholders are heavy. Even your family members are part of stakeholders. A whole lot of things come together, things needed for the business to run successfully. Now, remember, we have been able to build our tire. We have the rim, we have the tube, we have the tire itself, right? The position of the tire count, you know what you are moving. Most of you, some of you are not moving private cars. But if you are moving a private car, your front tire should be strong. Why should your front tire be strong? Because that is where your stakeholders are located. The stakeholders represent the engine, remember. So if you have your engine at the front, it means the front tire should be stronger enough to hold the engine, because if you are moving at a top speed and the front tire bursts, you have a weak front tire and it gets burst, the whole venture will collapse. But if your front tires are strong enough and you are moving at a top speed and your back tires are weak, your front tire should be strong enough to bring the car to a halt, to be moving, and then it will come to a halt. So your front tires needs to be strong. The same thing happens to those moving vans. Your strong tires need to be strong. Remember, there is a common thing between the van and the private cars. They both have their engines in front. They are both focusing on profits, but another person is focusing on the social mission. So those moving the vans, make sure your front tires are strong, because they are in direct contact with stakeholders. So take note of that. What about those moving the buses? Their back tires needs to be strong. That is where the stakeholders are located. So they need to have a strong back team. At DDQIC, we have a strong back team. We have our executive director, right? We have the top teams available. The strong back teams. So in case of emergency, at E-Jobs4All, we have a strong back team. Kesley is available, right? Yeah. So in case of anything, the team at the back needs to be strong to keep moving the NGO. So if you have a weak back team, remember, once this bus is full with impact and is moving on a top speed and there is an issue and the back tire burst, because the engine, the big engine is at the back, the front will be so heavy for them. And what is going to happen? There's going to be a collapse. So your back tire needs to be strong as well for the NGO guys. So if you have a weak tire and you are being a miser for a while, you don't want to buy a new tire for the meantime, it means you just have to position your strong tires to the back for the NGO, and then you move your weak tires to the front, right? So you get a strong, or you get funded to buy a new tire to replace it. Now, let's see. Let's take a look at our user manual. User manual 3. Speak to team members to inflate them. Supposing your tire is flat. If you have a flat tire, what you do is go to the vulcanizer to get it pumped, inflated. You speaking to your team, sometimes you just need to speak to them. Maybe they are less motivated or going through something at that particular moment. You speaking to them as you inflating them. Now, what if you speak to them and they still remain deflated? There's frequent puncture. What do? You change the tire, right? So there's no mercy here. When you keep speaking to them and the deflation keeps being persistent, what happens when your tire you do it today, you get puncture again. You do it today, what do? You change it. Maybe you know that person so well, that person is a close friend or something. But this is business. When you close from business, you can do your close friends, right? So you need to change it. And in terms, just as I said, sometimes you are trying to be wiser and you just try to save money. You have a weak tire. You take the tire to the position that is not close to the engine, and you bring the strong tire to the position that is close to the engine. Our trotro drivers does it a lot here in Ghana. Yeah. So shout out to our trotro drivers. I'm so sorry. I know some of us are watching us on live. Please pardon me for the trotro drivers. So that is what you should do. In times of like that, if you do not have, you need them, you do not have the capacity to take them for the time being, you can take them to a different position. You wouldn't let them be in direct contact with stakeholders, something like suppliers, because if they are frustrated within the day, you get to suppliers and then they may not be active to take a look at the materials coming and go in for inferior ones. It will be the company's collapse. So you need to move the weak tires to the back and bring the front tires to the position of your engine. Now, to the part I like most. I like every part about moving venture. But to this part, we've got to pay maximum attention here. This is very common in building businesses. A whole lot of startups wants to do everything at once. Let's take a closer look. I call these type of businesses extra activity ventures. Let's take a case study. And at the end of this case study, I'll pick 2 people to give 2.5 minutes response. Let's take a closer look at this study. Case study 1, Venture ABC, a pastries company, intends to bake and sell pastries. The founder wants to own an app where people can order pastries. They also want to write a recipe book and sell to clients who wish to start their own pastry shops. The founder intends to write weight loss book as well. Right? And as well as host nutrition seminars for clients. They want to set up kitchen around the world and train school dropouts and single mothers on how to bake pastries. They intend to hire homeless people for the kitchen project, their social work, right? Every profit made from the kitchen would be donated to orphanage homes. This is a case study we will be discussing after this part. So please keep this case study in mind. Now, this is your idea. Those moving private cars. This is your idea. All right? You are moving a private car. This is the idea. I want to do pastries. That is the thing. Any other thing aside that is extra activity you want to run. But the main thing you are doing here is that you want to produce pastries. That is the idea. But if you take a closer look at this Range Rover, I know most of you love Range Rover. If you take a closer look, this is the boot, right? The boot can take few items at the back. But once you start thinking about expanding your business to other fields, expanding your business with extra activities, this private car like this turns to this. So this initial part is your idea like this. And this boot is so small, but this time around you started thinking of expanding your business, so you've created room for that, which is very good. If you have that, it means you are a visionary leader. It's called goals. But some entrepreneurs are not so patient. Some of them want to do it at the same time. They've thought about expanding their business. They've created the boot, the trunk for it, which is very good. But at the same time, they want to do it. Take note of A and B. A is smaller, B, you've started thinking. Now they want to do it at the same time. What happens when such entrepreneur, remember you're a bootstrapper, you don't have enough resources. What happens when this entrepreneur start thinking of doing it at the same time? Let's see what happens. Now this is you. You've thought of this, the future goals. When you intend to do it at the same time, this is what happens. It turns to that. What happens? Take a closer look. The ties have changed. What represent the ties? Your team. It means you need more team members, more pressure on you. You are a bootstrapper, startup. You don't have that energy. You put stress on yourself. Take a closer look at the tires. Now let's see the tires. A and B. The tires have changed. You need double tires now. And then take a closer look at the first car and the second car. Which one will move faster in terms of speed? The first one, of course. So if you focus on that one thing, you will be able to move faster to gain profit. Then in the future goals, you can bring those extra activity in gradually. So those moving private cars, if you start thinking of extra activities, it's good. Pen them down, jot them somewhere. Right? If you try to do all of them at the same time, this is what is going to happen. You need strong teams. You will need, your team is, your speed is going to retard. You need a whole lot of things. Let's look at this scenario in another perspective. This. Most of you have been seeing this on our road, right? Now, take a closer look. If you think of expanding, it means you've created a trailer back, right? Now, when you try to do all at the same time, this is what happens. Like this. Between the A and B, which one will move faster? The A. And take a closer look at the tires as well. The tires increases, meaning you need more team members. So entrepreneurs, startups, people who want to start ventures, write your extra activities down. Do them gradually. Don't try to do all at once. Now, let's take a closer look at those building the vans. So this is you. This is your van. As soon as you think of extra activities, it is good. But once you intend to do all at once, it turns to this. Yeah. And then what happens to this as well? Let's take a closer look at the tires. You need double tires, right? So you need more team members. And the speed is equally going to change. You can see a lot of windows. The windows represent the resources. So if you are at training facilities, you want to do everything at once, you need more laptops. So take a closer look at the windows. They expand. You need more resources. Remember, you're a bootstrapper. You don't have them available now. So you just need to go with a van for now till you are fully set up a bit. Now let's take a closer look at our boxes, right? We did not get any bus guys here. But this is you. As soon as you try thinking of expanding into the extra activity at the same time, based on a few resources you have, it tends to this. We used to see this years back in Ghana. How did we call it? Yeah, there was a name, a local name for it. Now, what happens to this? The speed is equally going to retard, right? And then you are going to need more team members. The tires, take a closer look at the tires. And the resources are equally going to increase. Now, we are not saying extra activities are bad, but you need to know when to bring them in. So let's read our user manual. User manual is going to give us some tips. Let's take a closer look. As a bootstrapper, you do not want to retard your usual speed. Being a bootstrapper with a speed is the best thing on earth. You are able to grow faster. You do not want to take on so many activities. Focus on one business model at a time. Focus on that one activity which will generate enough funds or impact. Learn to push some activities to long-term plans or goals. Uber started as Uber. Check it out. I love using this. So Uber started as Uber. After so many years, they launched Uber Eats. Perhaps they had Uber Eats some years back as long-term goals. Or they have the resources or a name now to take it on. Now let's get back to our case study. So case study 1. I'll just need 2 people. I'll give you 30 seconds to think through. I'll select 2 people to give a response to this case study. And then we'll also give our response. And we proceed to the next one. So case study 1, Venture ABC, a pastries company, intends to bake and sell pastries. The founder wants to own an app where people can order pastries. They also want to write recipe books and sell to clients who wish to start their own pastry shops. The founder intends to write weight loss books as well as host nutrition. Thank you so much. Oh. No, okay. Could you? Yeah. Thank you. All right. Can I put it in my pocket? Okay, sure. They want to set up kitchens around the world and train school dropouts and single mothers on how to bake pastries. They intend to hire homeless people for kitchen projects. Every project made from the kitchen will be donated to orphanage home. After going through user manual 4, how would you help this founder? I need 2 people. 30 seconds, just think through. And after 30 seconds, I'll just call 2 people. You have 2.5 minutes each. After 2 minutes, please, I'll catch you off if you exceed the 2 minutes so that we can stick to time. All right, so 30 seconds. Just think about it and we'll discuss it. This year I got a male and female giving response. I'm hoping to get a male and female giving response to this. We got a male and female, right? Oh, yeah, we got a male and female. So let's see. So 30 seconds and 10 seconds more. Five seconds. All right, so I should be seeing the hands up. Who will be going? Based on user manual 4, how would you help this founder if you were a coach or a mentor or ambassador? How would you help this founder after going through user manual 4? Yes, we have our beautiful mommy here. And, oh, 2 ladies. No problem. If you don't get a meal, we can go for 2 ladies. I get excited seeing our ladies. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. And we need to get the 2 people before the responses. Okay, so the ladies are taking up. Oh, okay, there is a handsome man here. So we have a male and female. Amazing. I'm so excited for this. All right, so ladies first. Let's go for the lady.
Okay, my name is Karen.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh, can you come? Can you come if you don't mind? Would you? Okay, no problem. Yeah, I hope you can see. Hi, say hi to. Hi, Karen. Amazing.
Okay, so as a bootstrapper, I would advise the baker to start the app and sell the bakery and sell the pastries on the app. And also, because they are already baking, they probably have recipes for their bakery, so they can sell some of their recipes in a book as well. And then when it comes to their weight loss book and hosting nutrition seminars and all of those things, those are more of like long-term goals. So I think they can start with the
and you have 30 seconds
okay.
more.
So as the kitchen is growing and they are getting more customers, they can start with the charity thing they want to do. Then later on, they can expand it into the weight loss book and then host nutritional seminars and all of that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Can we give a round of applause for Karen? Thank you so much. That's a top-notch response. We are really impressed. Now let's hear from fantastic gentleman as well.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Gideon.
Hi, Gideon. Could you say hi?
Hi.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as a bootstrapper, I would advise this founder to also start with the app and then sell the pastries on the app. And then now, I think I'd also advise this founder to make sure that the selling of the pastries on the app gains so much traction and so much relevance in society, so that there is a demand to know, oh, what's your secret, and then start selling the recipe book. The recipe book can be in the form of can be in app or can go on maybe a bookstore, online bookstore. And then with regards to the recipe and the weight loss, that's the two can do that. And then the hosting of the nutrition seminar again is a long-term goal. It's a long-term goal.
10 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. And then the setting up of the kitchen will be after you've gained recognition and impact.
Amazing. Thank you so much. A round of applause for our gentleman as well. Yeah, thank you so much. They are both correct, right? No one is wrong here. We are learning entrepreneurship. Everyone is correct. Thank you so much for volunteering. Beautiful madam. Thank you so much for volunteering as well. So now let's see. How many of you have heard of Instagram, Facebook, Twitter? What this person needs to do, they are both correct, please. What they need to do is to start the pastries, do your cake and stuffs. A whole lot of things goes into building an app. A lot of money. You don't have the resources. As a bootstrapper, you have only your room. You have only the materials, the raw materials. You have your kitchen bowl. You don't have the money to build an app yet. But thanks to some people, they have already built an app that you can sell on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. So just manufacture, package it, create Instagram page, create Facebook page, post it there, run an ad, make your money, let people eat it, put your reviews there, and keep making money. Once you generate more funds from it, then you can look for an expert to build an app. Once you use the app for a while, and the Facebook and Instagram for a while, for maybe 2 or 3 years, you will generate another money. Then you can invest into the recipe book. And then you host book stands in food and nutrition sessions and do it. After 2 years or 3 years, or depending on your rate of working, now make sure that you wouldn't be investing the recipe book, the pastry money again into the app. Once you launch the app should feed itself. Every revenue you make from the app should go back into the app. You should not use the pastries money for the app again. You don't use your wife's money to spend on your side chick, probably, right? So if you do that, you are doing something like that, right? So once you launch all of this extra activity, they should feed themselves. You don't have to use these ventures. You've started to feed those things like that. But as a starter, you need to do your product. Get a product ready. Utilize the available resources. Some of the available resources are Instagram. You don't need money to own an Instagram account. You don't need money to set up Instagram. But you just need a few dollars, $1 to run an Instagram ad. And you get to people. That is how this person should be helped. So start with the pastries. Utilize available resources as a bootstrapper, Facebook, Instagram, and keep running. You've started your business. If you need a license, it will take... yesterday I heard a response that business registration costs a lot in Ghana. That's not true. You see, I've been meeting founders who wants to register business, but they pass through third parties. If you pass through third parties, that is where it becomes expensive. Go to Registrar General Department, they don't bite. I pushed one of my fellows this year to register their business. They spent just 500 cedis. But you told me another person is charging 3,000 cedis. I was like, did you go to Registrar General? No. The third parties will charge more, but if you go to their office, it is less expensive. You don't bite, go there and then exactly, but you've still got to be patient as a bootstrapper, right? If not, you'll be spending by the organization. So back to this. Yeah, so we are going to discuss this after the meeting. Back to this. Yeah, so we have been able to help this founder now, right? Yeah, let's leave the registrar general issue. We will do that after the meeting. Yeah, we have been able to do this now, right? We've been able to help this founder. Now let's proceed. Is this not working as well? Oh. Pardon? Oh, okay, thank you. Now let's take a look. We are almost done. Let's take a look at our mirror. The side mirror and the inside mirror, right? Now, if you are moving a car and you have mirror, they help you see incoming cars. Okay, so the mirror here is going to represent your competitive advantage. You have an advantage to see incoming cars and cars behind you. But it depends on the type of venture you are moving. If you are moving a private car again, you have two mirrors to advantage. You have your inside mirror. You can use your inside mirror to see the car behind you. And you can use the side mirrors to see the cars beside you. But if you are building a van, right, you can use your side mirrors to see the cars beside you. But it's so difficult to use your inside mirror. You can use your inside mirror to see the car behind you if you are building a van. Only if people have not occupied the seat. Right? Remember, the seat here does not represent the people. It's a scenario. They represent your impact. Only if people have not occupied a seat. In real life, those who use the public transport, right? If you take the driver with the inside mirror will not be able to see the back because you guys are seated there. The same thing happens to those building the buses. So if you are building a bus, that is way out. You wouldn't be able to use your inside mirror to see the car behind you. You can use it to see your impact in there. So if you are building a private car, you have an advantage to use your inside mirror to see your competitor. That is key performance indicator. You need to analyze your key performance. I know you felt your BMC. You've gone through the key performance indicators. You've done that. So you use your inside mirror, your internal team members you have, to analyze your key performance indicators. And then you use your side mirrors to do your landscape analysis. Look for your competitors. So if you do this, it means you wouldn't be coming out saying that there are no competitors for the product I'm developing. If there are no competitors locally, look for it internationally. Right? So that is the rule. So the main function of your competitors is to help you view the main function of your mirror is to help you view competitors and also measure your impact. So if you are building a car and a van, you can use your competitors to view both. You can use your mirror, inside mirror, to view both competitors. And if you are building buses, you can use it to check your impact measure. Now let's talk about competitive positioning. If you've gone through the DE workbook, you've probably seen this particular diagram here. How many of you have seen this in the DE workbooks? Okay, amazing. Perfect. So the main function of your side mirror, you need to position your side mirror very well to be able to see approaching competitors. Now, if you've not competitors for your product, meaning you've not positioned your side mirror well. You need to have a good competitive positioning to be able to see the basis you will be comparing your venture or your solution to. With that, you get to see people, either direct competitors or indirect competitors. So that is the role side mirrors play in your venture development. They help you see approaching so that you wouldn't clash. Probably moving to a different market segment, you may crash at that market because you've not done a lot of research at that particular market. Maybe a business guru has already occupied that market, but you are coming in with a new product. You need to find a beachhead market. If we do part 2, you know the Facebook story and stuff. So that is the role side mirror does for you. You positioning it is more like as well in the business field. Now, let's take a look at our user manual 5. Develop a side mirror that would help you view competitors clearly. Position your side mirror for a clear competitive view. Check on your key performance indicator and impact measure with your inside mirror. That is internal team analysis. You don't want to crash. The mirror would help you make a diligent scan during or before joining lane. There are cars on every road. You have competitors. Do not be idle. Look for them. You don't look for the competitors to run away from them. Sometimes you can benchmark them. You can study what they are doing to build up on your product. So please look for your competitors. Don't be idle. Now let's take a look at what we've done so far. We've spoken about the car body, we've done the engine, we've done the tires and the mirror. Let's love it. One last part for part 1. That is the headlight. A car without a headlight would only be able to move. A car without a headlight, that's the light, would only be able to move in the day, but never the night. If you don't have lights, if your lights are not working properly, you cannot move in the night. You can only move in the day. A venture without licenses can only move in a small area, but not go broad. So what licenses do you need? But before you jump into getting license, again, to the Registrar General, if you speak to a Registrar General agent and you ask them that, why is it that a whole lot of companies are on your page, but they are inactive? They'll tell you that they came to register the company, but it's either they have stopped working or moved outside. And why have they stopped working? They're going to tell you that some of them will start at an early. So before you jump into registering your company, make sure you are done with all your researches. What researches are we talking about? Your market researches, your competitive positioning. You know your product you are going to build. And you've sold about 1 or 2 or 3, and you know the business model. Before you go out there to register, they have a portion for name search. You can search the name to make sure that this name you are coming with is already without paying a penny. It's online. So you do the name search, you are sure of it. Now do your market research. What is involved in the market research? You know them, right? You go into speak to customers, customer discovery like Joanna made mention of, prototyping and testing. We'll be talking about them in the next session with Megan. You do all of these and then you can proceed. You are sure that this thing you are starting, you are ready for it before you go into it. So please, one last component added to every car we develop is the headlight. So you make sure you are done with all your primary researches and all few petty researches before you put in your headlight. So the question is, have you completed all your researches? It's up to you to answer. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a closer look at our user manual. 6, develop and test idea, complete all market researches. Be sure of possible sales or impact. Get your recipe right if you are building a product. Speak to a lawyer or expert for advice before you register. Speak to a lawyer or expert. Speak to them. Oh, I want to register my company. What are the processes? What should I do? Have you done your business research? Do you know your competitors, where you are going to operate? What tools you'll be using? Business model? All of these. Speak to an expert for advice. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of Moving Venture Part 1. And in Moving Venture Part 1, we have discussed the car body, we have discussed the headlights, the ventures, the engine, the mirror, and the car tire. This part one is meant for you to build up the basis. In part two, it's more of you pushing your venture up, taking it off the ground, lifting it off. And because of time, we cannot go through part two. Part two is a whole 1.5 session, I think 2 hour session. We cannot go through it today, but we will provide a summary of part two. But before we go, let's take a look at this year's JMCF, what we did in terms of the moving venture. So this is a venture. This person is called Esther Ibem. They are an NGO called Mufed, and they want to enroll Fulani children in Ghana in school and sponsor their education. So they had the idea. The idea is there. They've done their market research, but it's time for the groundwork. So do you know how they did their groundwork? We had to get a box, right, and then just make pictures of kids in school, and you put a Ghana flag up here like this, and you do a school thing here like a school. Now they have to go to where the Fulani children are, because have they told you they want to go to school? Are you sure? Yes or no? They don't know. So we are going to test this. This is prototyping and testing. So they have prototyped their idea in the simplest solution. They didn't spend a lot of money on this. I think 5 cents or so. They were done. Now they went to their groundwork. They saw a lot of things. They realized that some of the parents intentionally do not want these Fulani children to go to school. They also realized that some of the schools were far away. So even if they take the Fulani children to that far locations, they have to spend money on transport, taking them there. And because it is far, they would not be motivated to still go to school because it's a far location. So these are the things they got from their prototype. So they have to iterate again. So meaning they have to set up, use the trees in their community. Based on this, they have to use the trees in the community, go through the learning processes with them, look out for the serious ones, because not all parents are willing to take their children there. They sent videos and it was funny. Some of the children were running away and the parents were sucking them. Advantage of prototyping and testing. So if they were in their rooms to make assumptions, they would have known this. So prototype your solution in the simplest way. Go out there and speak to them, test it, and see. Let's take a look at this second person. This person is also a biochemist trying to build a nanoparticle that would be used for yam preservation. So they prototype their idea in the simplest way. So that thing is their nanoparticle, and this is more like the yam. They used to spray the yam. So the farmers will split them into two and they'll spray. So they took it again to farmers to test it. They talked to farmers. Some of them were like, would this chemical kill us because it will go into the yam? They got their feedbacks. Others are saying sometimes they get the yam rotten in the ground. So they had to also iterate and build a suitable solution for them. So if they had stayed in their room, there's no way they would know this. So you need to prototype and test. There are more. We have one person here, Norwich Bite. I think she's here. Hi, Norwich Bite. Yeah, so that's Norwich Bite's prototyping, testing, and a whole lot of, a lot more. So what have we done so far? We have generated a general idea on bootstrapping. We have understood venture than before, right? Okay, and you are ready to develop your idea, having the end user in focus, right? Good. You can relate your venture to a specific vehicle. Okay. You clearly understand what goes into stakeholders and team formation. I'm not hearing it. Oh, okay. All right. You can assemble your stakeholders and link them to the strongest team. Oh, okay, let's take it side by side. This side. Yes, this side. Okay, all right. And you clearly understand what goes into extra activities. Good. And you understand the concept of competitive positioning. And you know when to go in for license. Ladies and gentlemen, in Moving Venture Part 2, we will talk about brand identity. That is logo, name, and colors. Fuel systems. We will delve deeper into financials. Fuel systems. We will break all the fuel systems into different components and speak about them. We will talk about steering. That is the venture control. And we will talk about the exhaust system. That is risk management and test driving. Finally, you moving your venture. That is where we talk about them. But due to time, Moving Venture Part 2, Kingsley will beat me here, so I have to speed up fast. Okay, no, just, yeah. So in Moving Venture Part 2, as I said, I'll just provide a summary. So with the logo, name, and car analogy, normally we show example of logos with Toyota, Lexus, and then we break their logo down, give them each meanings of the logo, what the logo represents, and the meaning of their color, so that you can also build a logo and color with a meaning, not just go on Canva and create them. You have to get a meaning for every logo. If you have a logo with a meaning or branding with a meaning, anytime you see it, it's going to motivate you to keep doing what you are doing. But if you just select any logo, it's not going to motivate you, right? So that is what we normally talk about at brand identity. And we also do branding in a way that you know how to market your product. It's either you are marketing the product name as Belacqua, or you are marketing the company's name as who manufactured Belacqua. Right? But I know Belacqua because these people are marketing the product name. So we use Range Rover and Benz. Range Rover is a product name being manufactured by Land Rover. But the product name Range Rover is known. When it comes to Benz, they are selling the company's name. But when it comes to the product name GLE, so if you use Benz for a while and it works for you, you'll be looking out for, who manufactured or what product of Benz is this? You know that it's GLE. If you use Range Rover and it works for you, you'll be like, wow, it's a good car. Who manufactured it? You look for them. To brand, that's what we talk about at the brand identity. So it's a summary. And the fuel systems, we do talk about the fuel systems, and then the fuel gauge. We break them down into a whole complex system and talk about them. That is what we do at the fuel systems. And in terms of steering, we have equations. We go into mathematics, the moving venture equations. We break them down, what it means to focus as an entrepreneur, what it means to be distracted as an entrepreneur, what it means to be successful as an entrepreneur. We use mathematical equations to explain them. That is what we do part 2. Unfortunately, we cannot do the full part 2 here, but I'm providing a summary of it. And in terms of the exhaust system risk management, we talk about the dirty fuel systems, what happens to you when you still keep the dirty engine oil. And we also break the fuel systems and dive straight into circular economy and the linear economy. We talk about all of those ones, and we finish it off with test drive. That is the beachhead market. You starting on a one lane is more like you working in your starting on a smaller session, and then you gradually, if you start testing driving, you start on a one lane before you go to a wall, big lane, before you start driving on the big one. So that's the same way you take your business off the grounds. You start at a small place. I remember started my first venture, Mr. Neat, at K University. K University commercial area was my beachhead market. If you know K University, you know what I'm talking about. So we were always at the commercial area. So you need to start at a small place, gain the grounds like Facebook, and then gradually scale into larger places. So that's what we do at the test drive, but we use car analogy and the road to describe it. Entrepreneurs, you can see a whole lot of cars on the road, right? So, entrepreneurs, you want to drive your venture through numerous venture on the road. Can you develop the best moving venture? All right, prove yourselves. That's the end of it.
I'm very sure there are a few questions for you, Duncan. And so for those of you who would want to do the questioning, if you could kindly rise to your feet, we could identify you. Maybe you could line up here and do that. Yeah. As entrepreneurs, you need to develop that confidence, you know. So this could be a dress rehearsals for you. Gather that courage and come up here. Thank you.
I have my own students coming to ask me a question.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Oh, you can have the mic. Have it. Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to find out, you spoke about the back tires and the front tires and the position of the engines. So what activities would you refer to as the back end activities? If I have a van, and we are saying that I should put my best team members at my front end, what activities are we talking about specifically? And what activities are the back end activities that I can delegate the weaker employees to?
That's a very fantastic question. No, can maintain the microphone. Could you list your top 3 activities you run at your venture? Your top 3.
Okay. Customer service, sales, marketing.
Okay. And your second activity? You have filled the business model canvas, right?
Yes.
You did fill the activity portion.
Yes.
Good. So tell me your first 3 activities.
Okay, I don't have them in order of priority, but usually, so what we do is dealing with customers. So anything that has to do with customer service, like taking orders, selling, things like that. And then marketing, getting people to be aware of it. And then, let me say, fulfillment, actually getting the items to the customers, delivered to them.
Getting the items to the customer will be one thing you put at the weak back tire. Speaking directly to the customer should be the strong tire. And also getting in touch with your investors, the people funding you. If it's yourself, fine. People funding you should be with a strong tire. If one of your team members are not passionate about the work and they are so, they'll be like, they wouldn't tell you to break your heart, but they'll be like, in their head, right? Give them the errands, let them take their product there. Even if they don't have the passion there, after all, they need to get their product delivered to the person, right? It's not a strong activity that they will be running. But supposing you give them to an investor and probably they don't have the passion, passion counts. The way you speak to them, your passion, your activity will get the investor motivated based on your content as well. So with the least activity that can get them off the grounds to be a bit passionate about it, that is if they want to, or not so passionate about it, just give them those tasks. So I will give you giving the cast, if you don't have a delivery person, a delivery bike, but that's fine. By you giving the least tasks, that would at least get them some way, somehow motivated. Those are the ones you should give. But the official ones, the main ones that you need to do it directly with the customers to bring something, or maybe with an investors, you should handle it to the strong team. Don't you agree?
Okay, I have a question. So based on this information, so I have a very good salesperson. I'm still growing my team, but I have a very good salesperson. She handles customer service quite well. And I'm trying to get myself out of the business. So I'm trying to find a way for her to handle fulfillment, not the delivery. But you see, sometimes with the fulfillment, you are supposed to, we run an e-commerce, eyewear, but e-commerce. So getting the exact item delivered to the exact person. Sometimes there can be a bit of, if you make an error or a mistake.
Do they go and purchase the item at a different shop?
No, everything. I bring everything in-house.
At your place.
She's just supposed to make sure that the right person gets the right order. And also to handle, I make her handle customer complaints as well.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a new person to handle sales directly, like getting the sales in the first place and making her handle the back end. So I want to find out, is it a good decision? Because she's already super good at getting sales in, talking to customers.
Yeah.
But I was thinking I train somebody else to be good at that, since she's already good at that, and give her to handle the customer complaints and stuff. Is it a good decision?
Yeah, it's sometimes doing one thing for a long time becomes boring. And one thing founders or executive directors or CEO people, that they try people at different roles, not to keep them permanently there, but give them a different experience, get them motivated, and they get back to their role. That is what a whole lot of interest, and it works. Doing one thing at this sometimes, so you sometimes need to try it out. Depending on your situation, you have you currently have something at hand, right? There's a reason why you are doing it, but you are making this person do it for a while she look out for the other person, which is fine. Only if that person can play the role very well aside the actual role they are playing, that is fine. Until you get the perfect person for the role, it is allowed. In football, they sometimes put people at false something for a while till they get it done. This is a practical analogy. Everything should be practical. So for the time being, if that person fits the role you have given them aside their usual role, you can keep them there till you get that bit, because they will be like, I'm performing extra role if they are not charging you, so you need to give me extra funds. But this is not my usual role. I'm also taking something in addition, so you need to pay them. I hope this answers your question. Amazing, fantastic. And I hope you all agree.
And so please kindly take notes. Duncan, Joanna, Megan will be available all day for you to answer most of the questions.
Yeah.
So please, for this session, kindly keep it very brief. Thank you. The next person could come.
Please, good morning, everyone. My name is Dora, and I am the founder of Adbrand Ventures, an e-commerce platform for natural and high-quality made in Ghana products. Right, so I have two questions, but I must say that we have had two moving sessions this morning, and I believe that our businesses are going to thrive. So thank you, and thank you, Coach Duncan, as well. The first question. When you were doing the car and bus analogy, no, it was the car and the van. Okay, I want to ask, is there a need for a business to focus on social impact? Should it be part of us? Because I think the first thing for a business is to make profit, but the social impact, is there a need? If yes, the additional question is, what are some of the social impacts we can make? Because sometimes people think of social impact as building stuff, but what are some of the basic social impacts startups can make in the societies and in their communities? The second one is, when we were doing the RIMS, looking at the roles, setting the ground rules, what you want people to do. Yes, you have the rules. You know exactly what you want. You know the skills you are looking for. But how does a startup get the right highs when it is not financially sound? You know that you need the services of Coach Duncan or Megan or Joanna, but they are expensive. So how do you get the right highs? Should the business get what's available? Okay, maybe I need a professional accountant, but I cannot afford. Do I go in for somebody who has some knowledge in accounting, even though it doesn't fit the ground rules we have set as a business? Thank you.
Amazing. That's a fantastic question. All right. So there's to benefit the society. All right. So take note of that. And there are also shared values that this institution is trying everything possible not to contaminate the environment with what they are doing. That is another social impact you are creating. So there are two things. Some ventures will make so much profit and they'll be like, oh, I think some of them will, the bottled water, is it Vena? Not doing that here, right? Awake, okay. So if you pay once, I think for hat something, right? So they are doing more like a social responsibility, corporate social responsibility, right? So after generating all their fund, they want to give a portion of it to this NGO or to this fund to also use it to impact. And another one doing a shared value, that they are trying everything possible to share the value they are running at their institution with the environment, that they don't want to use their processes to contaminate the environment. That is another social impact. But sometimes I've been seeing this with a lot of entrepreneurs, that when they join a program, let me say, when they join a training program, and they will be like, oh, if I don't have a social impact, they won't select me to the next stage. I've been seeing this a lot. So they force their venture to attach a social impact to it. We see this every year at JLMCF. And I'm sure the coaches at E-Jobs4All also sees it. Because they'll be like, oh, everyone is solving social impact, social impact, social impact. So let me also look for something. And that thing they are fixing, if it was suitable for it, I will be fine. But the thing they fix there is not even suitable for it. So remember, every venture should be solving a problem. That problem could be this person's needs. That this person, let's say, this person is providing something that would boost the a problem, maybe organically, right? But maybe it's not benefiting the social as a whole. But it's solving a problem for somebody. That's fine. If you can add the social mission to it for it to fit perfectly without being an extra activity to be a burden, then you can. But if you cannot, you need to drop it and put it as a future goal when you grow, right? Like there's MasterCard Foundation. There's the MasterCard credit card itself, right? So I hope that answers your question, right? Perfect. Your second question was very interesting, but could you repeat that for me? Ladies and gentlemen, we all started our businesses with our own self being the marketer, being the accountant, being the this. Yeah, we don't have the funds to hire someone to be a burden. So sometimes we learn it online. And then when we learn it online and we are going to apply, hi, goodbye, nice for joining. Yeah, so sometimes when we learn online and we are applying for grants that need official stamps, that's where we save some small money. Go there, let them know that you don't have the funds to hire them on a large scale. Please, I'm a startup. I used to do this a lot when I started. I'm a startup. I need this grant, but I don't have enough funds. Could you, there's a lady at Registrar General called Auntie Benedicta. That's how I started with her start, because I don't feed, we are going to have a panel discussion, so I don't feed my venture. Once I do investment, I want it to feed itself. I don't keep giving it. We'll talk about that during the panelists because of time. So go there, speak to them. This is your financial. Could you please just take this and do this accounting for me for this year, because I can use it to apply for grants. I'm a starter. They may have pity on you to do it. If it's not so official to stamp, learn how to do it for that time. Remember, you will not be like that forever. You will grow. It's a gradual process. So learn how to do it for that time. If it is super official, go there, speak to them, tell them your budget, and then I'm sure they would be able to help you. I hope that answers your question. Yeah. I hope you all agree. Perfect.
Okay.
Oh, that's my student asking me a question again. Okay.
Thank you very much, Coach Duncan. You've always been great.
Yeah, you've been a good student too. Yeah,
yeah, and you've literally answered my question.
Oh,
so I want to ask, with this, what vehicle would you liken a sole proprietor onto? Because, yeah, with your explanation.
A sole proprietor does not determine your business model. Sole proprietorship addresses more of the ownership of the business. A sole proprietor does not have, being a sole proprietor does not affect your business model. It doesn't affect anything. But a lot of investors want to invest in companies so that they can have the shares. So if you have 1 million shares, if you are going to do your registration, you take 1,000 of those shares, share it between the two directors on the form, and then leave the remaining shares for future investors. So the sole proprietorship at the company does not have any effect on your business model. They do have their own benefits and disadvantages. Something like proprietorship, you own the business for yourself. You don't pay taxes. I'm not sure in Ghana, but I'm sure you don't pay annual returns. Yeah, you don't do annual returns. But for company, you do annual returns. You look for auditor to do your auditing for you. Then you submit it. A whole lot of process. But for sole proprietorship, it's also less expensive. So they don't actually benefit your. It doesn't matter. It depends on the investor or your future goal for the venture. If you want to bring in an investor, then you would go in for a more LLC, yeah, limited liability company. If you are owning it, then you go for sole proprietorship. I hope you get it. So, but as a starter, you can start with sole proprietorship. They do change it. In the future, when you grow, you can convert back to company so that you can skip. The government will be annoyed, so I won't say it. So maybe you can skip annual returns. Because you're a starter, you cannot fund auditor. They charge a lot, the auditors, to do the auditing for you. It's fun to have a company that so and so limited. It's fancy, but sometimes think about your pocket. Yeah.
Then one thing, how long can you operate your business solely? How long?
It depends on your growth. Yeah, is it solely, only, as in the only person in the business? Oh, you see, it's not good to run a business alone, right? Some people will not be able to tackle the stress. Someone should be there to complement your stress, that because it's going to be fine and stuff. But it all depends on your growth, how long you take to grow, and how the problem you are solving, how fast product or service operates in the market, how critically you think when 1 or 2 people are buying your product and you are not satisfied, you want 10 people to buy. It means you need to change your business model. It depends on all those things you put into place to get your business running faster, to recruit more people. With that, you set down the rim to fix the tires, and then make sure you have a tube in there to get the right people on board. So until then, unfortunately, you need to keep doing it, right? So you need to keep growing faster. Take off with service to grow. Yeah.
All right.
I hope you all agree. Okay, perfect.
All right. Thank you so much for your presentation. Yeah, I really like it.
He's with the book. I'm sure he has 10 questions.
No, it's just 2 questions.
Oh, okay.
I'm David, a student and a co-founder of Sunray Innovation. We're actually into mechanization of farm tools, agriculture, so fertilizer applicators and seeders, locally made in Ghana here.
Wow.
Yes. So my first question is like, at what point in time will a startup advocate for a shareholder in the business?
Okay.
Yes, that's one question.
Can I answer that?
Okay. Sure.
Okay. So it depends on the country, right? So sometimes, let's use Ghana. If you are going to register for sole proprietorship, you don't need a shareholder. If you are going to register for limited liability, you need a shareholder. That person can be a director on board, and then when it comes to the BU form, the beneficiary ownership form, that person should have 60% and above. I don't know if they've changed it, and to be on it as a shareholder. So it depends on the form of business you want to register. If you're starting as a sole proprietorship, you don't need a shareholder, just your name on it. If it's a limited liability company, you need to recruit someone as a shareholder. Take a portion of the shares, share between your two, and leave the remaining. There's like sharing food. You have a bowl of food, you take a portion and eat it. You keep the rest in the fridge for another person to eat. The same thing. So you buy a whole lot of shares, 1 million shares, and they will charge you there. And then you take a portion, share between you and your initial shareholder. That person could be a director on your team. You share among yourselves, and once that is done, you keep the rest and use it. So it depends on the type of business you want to register, and it depends on your interest. If you want to recruit an investor, quick investor, most of them will want those type of business venture registered in limited liability company. I hope that answers your question, and I hope you all agree. Perfect.
Okay, so the next question goes like about the oil changing, which is, if I'm not mistaken, about the tire. The tire is a team.
Yeah, the tire. Yes. Is it the oil change?
Yeah, the oil change.
Okay, that is.
You're like changing like a supplier. Maybe a supplier is actually he's the one supposed to give you the raw materials for your product. And a point in time, if he's not able to provide certain things to you, for your company, you can change the person to and then go for another person, right? So this is the case that this person has worked for you for about 10 years. I'm giving you all the raw materials, and then it got to a point that one or two reasons he or she couldn't get you the affordable things again, and then you are cutting him or off from the business. Note that that person too is having customers indirectly for you. So we cutting those people off, like, won't it affect your business as well?
No, you should. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe if there's other ways to handle that kind of situation.
Yeah. So, this is a business, right? And sympathy is not. But listen, you should understand your supplier. You've worked with them for a long time. They can tell you the problem they are facing. That due to dollar increase, we want to hold on for a while without importing things or raw materials down for you to get a portion of it. So please pardon, we plead with you. We can't be able to produce you material from maybe 1 month. That is fine. Don't cut them off. They have a problem that they are solving. So with you being the founder and a problem solver, you need to look for alternative. Them could even be an addition. Alternative could be a new discovery for your business, that you found someone similar providing quality goods for you at a lower price, but you wouldn't throw that person, the initial person, away until they are done or after they are done. So unless they tell you they're out of business, or they provide you inferior materials over and over, and you've complained to them that the materials you bring are inferior, yet they keep producing it for you, then you have to cut them off. But if they are facing an issue and they've told you about it, you need to be in their shoes, empathy. But you cannot also say that I'll also wait for 1 year, 1 month, until you resolve your issue. You will look for an alternative until they are done solving their issue. I hope that answers your question. And I hope you all agree. Perfect. And the last person, oh, should we? Oh, there's, so I think